There you go. I just ask things like if he's got an established website, ask what your website URL is, how old your website is, do they have any other URLs? Then I ask, the nature of your business, your main products and or services. Actually, I'll send this file to you.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
And then I'll send you a copy of the brief. I send them once I get my answer list back as well.
That's killer. That's really killer. I really appreciate that. And what are some of the objections and the questions that they wind up asking you?
First things I always ask, what's the cost?
Yeah. And what do you say?
Yeah. I said it depends on what your keywords, what I'm doing for you, your competition. But yeah, I said I'll work off their budget rather than advisor budget.
Right. So you more try to figure out like what they can afford, and then that's pretty much what you charge them.
Yeah.
So what are some of the ranges that you're charging?
I've got a minimum price that I like to just sit at $350 a month, but I go up to $1,400.
Oh,
so.
You have one that's $1,400 a month?
Yes, but he's sitting on the fence with it at the moment, but we'll see what happens.
Sure. You going for the gold. That's great. That's great.
He actually runs a gold business. So.
Oh, that's funny. Now you're inside of NHB at this point, and what's that been like for you? Have you like enjoyed that pretty well? What would you say to somebody who's thinking about joining NHB?
I'd say join it. It's taught me a lot. I mean, I only had to build websites and sort of knew a bit about link building, but no, it's expanded me beyond my horizons and it shot me in the right direction.
That's awesome. And like Greg, I was watching some of our NHB videos last night with Greg on Magic Submission, and it was really cool. Like I really enjoyed it. I just think that he's such a great teacher. Yeah,
no, I'm glad he got those videos up for Magic Submitter.
Those are great, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a bit of a pain if you don't know what you're doing on it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm actually about to sit down with James and get a little bit more training from him that I'll be able to put into OMG. So that'll be really cool. And we got another file coming in from you, which is excellent, and I appreciate that. I really like one of the things that I really enjoy about OMG in general, and specifically about NHB, is the people helping people aspect of it. Obviously, you're giving some terrific information and advice to me right here, that I can just pull up and take a look at, and then other people get to benefit from that, and it's all just really, really cool. So I'm opening this up right now, SEObrief.doc, and hopefully that'll come right over.
They're the questions asked, or get them to answer.
Yeah, that's great. Yep, and I'm opening the other one as well. So just take a second for that to pull up. So SEO Brief, what's your website URL? How old is your website? Do you have other URLs? What's the nature of your business, your main products and service, your percentage split of your core product areas? I like that. So you kind of lets you know more about their business and what's working for them. Geographic stuff. So like what might I target for you? Like that kind of thing. Yeah. So it's really great. So SEO Brief. What geographic regions? What are your main goals for SEO? What do you have? Do you have a budget in mind for online marketing? Do people answer that one pretty well? What do they usually put?
A lot of them don't answer it pretty well. If they've got an established website, they generally answer what they spend in AdWords.
Yeah.
If they do have an AdWords account.
Yep.
But a lot of them are only looking for about $500 a month.
Yeah.
So.
And how would you say you nudge them over to making that $400 a month commitment that you're getting from them right now, $350, $400?
If you read about Mirror's digital strategy, you probably see it, how it's done.
Yeah. This is great.
I actually, because what I do is I'll list to their budget and then I'll put my recommended budget in.
Yeah.
And I'll add to that and say, this is what you're going to get out of my recommended budget and this is what I'm going to give you out of your budget.
This is killer. This looks great, Adam. This looks great. This is really sharp.
And that's the aim. Look professional.
Yeah, but budget package $700 cross out $350 plus GST per month. What's GST?
It's the Australian tax. We get 10% tax and everything.
Oh, okay.
Services.
Got it. Got it. Okay, and then option 2 recommended standard package 650. Do you get any people taking the standard package?
Yes, I do. I've got one person on the standard package,
Yeah.
but his standard package, he's only 575. But
Man, this is
yeah,
killer. Adam, this is so frickin' valuable. Pardon my French, but this is incredibly
so
valuable stuff.
you're talking to an Australian. That's not French.
Yeah. I'm with you. Man, this is killer. This is just killer. I'm looking at it. How did you create these root domain metrics?
OpenSite Explorer.
Oh, of course they are. Sorry, I couldn't see it that well on my screen. Let me make it bigger so I can just see it kind of better. Oh yeah, it is. Oh, that's killer, man. I love this. I'm so proud of you, man. This is really just tremendous stuff. And now, I mean, at this point, with as much money as you made, I mean, at some point you might even be able to quit your day job if you keep ramping this up.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Well, so where do you see your business going at this point? Like what do you see I mean, do you have a goal to quit your day job, or do you just like supplementing your income and then that's great?
Oh no, my goal is to quit. I don't want to be I don't want to be making money for someone else.
Right. Okay. So this is really like how are you feeling about things right now? I mean,
I'm feeling really good. I had my doubts when I started, but it's just getting better.
Yeah.
Everything's getting better.
Oh, I love that, man. This is exciting. So this is it. I mean, so like OMG and NHB really has like changed things for you. Is that correct?
It has, yes.
That's awesome. So if someone's thinking about getting involved, with OMG, with NHB, then you'd give it your thumbs up.
Yes, I would.
Oh man,
I wouldn't tell them any other way.
Oh, I really appreciate you saying that. Well, Adam, this has just been incredibly beneficial, especially with the documents that you've handed over to me. Really helps. Do you have any parting words for anybody who's happens to have the opportunity to listen to this?
Just stick with your guns and just don't give up on it. It's just a matter of keep forcing yourself to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you definitely did that. Like even when you just.
I mean, I don't know off an iPhone, so anyone with a computer can do it.
That's awesome. That's just awesome.
That's all I can say.
Yeah,
you can do it off the phone. You can do it off a computer.
That's great, Adam. Well, I really appreciate your valuable time, and thank you so much. This has just been incredibly valuable to me, and I'm just very grateful for you doing this. I say it all the time. OMG is a city on a hill. It's people helping people. It's Providence.
Yeah.
And I really feel you're just so strong. I pray for OMGers and NHBers every single day to have Providence and success. And I really feel like I feel so richly rewarded every time I get a new email in from Greg, or he tells me he gets so excited, and me and David get so excited. And so thank you just so much. I'm just so grateful for this time that you spent with me, Adam.
It's all good.
All right.
Anytime.
All right. Let me just make sure that this. right, hey, this is Mike, and I'm here with Steve Bumgardner, and we are at my local Barnes & Noble. It's about to become my ex-local Barnes & Noble, but we are here on location. And now, Steve, this is a great earnings report. This is something that's really exciting for me because you've been able to transition over. You have a background in sales. And even in sales training, where you're working with DirecTV, you were kind of a top seller for DirecTV, but you really got bogged down with the kind of the daily grind and stuff like that when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And so you transitioned over to internet marketing. You came on board with me a little more than a year ago, and started doing some stuff with OMG or NHB now, and things have really just skyrocketed for you recently. You built a stable base that started with, we talk about how, in Endgame especially, we talk about how what you want to do is you want to get your foot in the door with, the way we do it is with free traffic.
Right.
And you had a great thing you said about that. I want to touch on that in a second. And then you use that as a springboard to start, getting paychecks. And from there you can really trade up. Well, you were at the point not that long ago, even a couple months back, where you had gotten your foot in the door, you really bared down, you freaking figured out how to get stuff ranked,
right,
how to get a site up. You did some kind of small-time deals, but that was a good springboard. You and your partner Nick's also an NHBer, were at the point where you guys were bringing in, what was it, around $5,000 a month at that point?
Anywhere between 5 and 7,
okay,
so depending on the affiliate stuff.
So pretty seriously paying the bills.
Yes.
At that point. I would call that where you're really springboarded. You're in the game, and from there you started trading up. Where are you today? Today, what's your monthly income?
As of this week, we're at 40,000.
Wow. So take us through it.
Wow. It's just a matter of getting, like Mike said, getting in the door, getting your foot in, and really just being able to talk the talk and walk the walk, and have the confidence and know that the things that you're learning on NHB are things that actually work and can get you the traffic and get your clients the traffic that they need.
You were just showing me on your computer. You have somebody who's in the you say currency market. I don't want to expose.
That's safe to say. Thank you.
And you're getting him 1,000 visitors a day,
yep,
and that's not a big time client. That's not somebody who's paying you $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 a month. That was something you use as almost like an internship to kind of get the ball rolling, to get some client action in there.
That's right.
And so how did you, was that one of your first deals?
It was. It was one of our first deals as far as on the bigger scale, on the grander scale. That we had done a few local things. This was a national thing. It's actually a global couple keywords. And he was fighting a long time and trying to do it himself.
How did you meet him?
We met through actually one of our client sites that we ranked. He happened to be looking up, saw the link on the bottom of the site, and sent us an email.
Take us back in time to that client site then. Like, how did your local client sites begin?
Local clients really just began. We tried to do the sell then rank idea, and we found that was a lot tougher than actually ranking something and then selling it or renting it. So we got into that. We had some success with it. We were able to talk a few people into letting us do it for inexpensive, really just kind of parts, not labor, if you will. And with that, we were able to get them ranked. We were able to get them traffic. Then we were able to actually go back, renegotiate,
Can you give us
some money.
A ballpark idea of what you were ranking for and why you decided to rank for it?
As far as the client that he found us on?
Yeah, the client.
I think it was actually a local plumber in Charlotte, and he had some issues. He found it. The guy was ranking pretty well, so we were able to get him from that. And to be honest, when you're ranking and if you set it up right, in my experience, if you've got the contact info or something on there that can allow people to get to you, that's huge. We've actually gotten several clients that way.
Wow. So what are you doing with your contact info? Are you putting it in the footer?
Putting it in the footer, really just a link. And in the beginning, the two that we've gotten from that have come from really just us trying to backlink and use our client sites that had PR, use that to actually help us out.
Okay, great. So you're getting yourself a little bit of
juice,
little bit of juice, a little personal blog network action on the side from your clients. It's actually pretty smart on the fly.
Thanks.
And of course, it doesn't harm them at all.
Not at all.
Makes perfect sense. It's
Web
natural.
designers do it. Why can't SEOers, right?
Right. Exactly. Okay. Great. So what was making that deal like? So you have a site that's ranked for Charlotte plumbers. What did you do? Just start calling plumbers?
Yeah. Basically.
So how did that go? Was it first, second, third?
Well, actually, with the plumber site in Charlotte, what we did was we sent out an email to all the plumbers that were page 2 back, and just said, hey, look, we've got a site on the first page. whoever calls first gets it. And we just put it to them as simple as that. It wasn't a long sales letter, a bunch of copy. It was, here's the site, here's where it's at, here's how much it costs. Call us if you want it.
What was the cost?
It was $500.
Okay, great. So at that point you're just saying, like, look, $500. Let's just get in the game.
That's right.
You know, we've got this skill. Let's get some momentum going here. Let's pay a couple bills.
That's right.
Okay, great. So somebody called you on that, and it was a pretty easy deal.
It was very easy. They got clients. You know, you have the opportunity to get clients today, and that's when you can say something like that to somebody. You know, it makes it very hard for them to say no if they've got the money in their pocket.
Okay, got it. All right. So you close that deal, and then at this point, it's not even so much that you've been getting referrals from that plumber. It's that the site is acting as a referral situation.
Right. Yes.
Okay, great. So that's sort of a nice under the radar tactic. Now, in terms of, so that's how you got your currency client, and then the currency client was you got, I guess, somebody who's local, and he was searching for plumbing and found that.
That's right.
And then he contacted you and said, hey, can you do SEO for me too?
That's right.
Okay, great. And then what did you charged him? Was it $1,000 for that deal?
Actually, yeah, it was $1,000, and we were able to, but it was once. It wasn't a monthly thing, so it was. We needed a little influx to get a couple tools that we wanted to get. That's how we saw that, and so that's what we took advantage of. Not taking advantage of someone, but we took advantage of the opportunity and said, we'll rank you.
Yeah.
It'll allow us to buy tools with the money you give us.
Well, and it must have given you a lot of confidence because now today you
huge.
just showed him. Here we are, the 10th day of the month, and he's gotten like 6,000, 7,000 unique visitors.
That's right.
To his website, and it's some pretty competitive stuff. So,
yeah.
So I mean, certainly something that you can have plenty of pride.
Well, it's
in.
only getting better. I mean, there's still 3 others that we're cracking up on. We only focused on 3 in the beginning. We've got 2 on the first page. One's coming and going on the first and second, and we've got our big one that is actually triple what we've already got. That's steadily moving up the ranks.
Okay, so you're continuing to work hard for him.
Absolutely.
I definitely respect that. So, okay, so now let's connect the dots to your first big deal. You have a Yellow Pages deal now.
Right.
And it happened kind of in a funny way, but I think it was based on, you had a stable base already. You're plugging along. You're at this point certainly at least cash neutral, right?
Right.
Like paying for your paying the
pay
bill.
for our tools, pay my electricity,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Okay. And then from there, you really had a big trade up. So you posted on you posted on LinkedIn?
I posted on LinkedIn.
What did you post on LinkedIn?
Well, I had a rough day, so I went on my profile, and I was tired of being the nice guy and I do this and I do that on your profile. So I just said, look, if you want to rank, you need to call me. Traffic is business. Instead of going willy-nilly and trying to do this or that, Google has people that are looking for your service right now. You can get in front of your customer in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of a smart aleck about it, and I said, if you want to rank, call me.
How many people are in your LinkedIn network?
About 500.
Okay. I think I even have more than that. So,
Yeah.
Although I haven't used LinkedIn much. Have you gotten business before on LinkedIn, or was this your first time?
This was the first time. I've had calls before, but nobody ever closed. And this was actually because of one of my friends or connections on there. He trusted, the current client trusted that guy, and because he was a friend of mine, he gave me the call. He said, I saw you were a smart aleck, I had to talk to you.
Okay, cool.
And that's how the conversation started.
All right, and now this guy is involved with the Yellow Pages company. One of the reasons I love this, one of the NHBers is Becker, Alex Becker,
Yep.
and he actually started with, like in SEO, he started working for an SEO firm and really realized that they were struggling. Like that their technology and their ability to rank was pretty weak. They were outsourcing a bunch of what they were doing.
Right.
And so he actually got his foot in the door. He started trading up, springboarding and trading up by ranking for stuff like Yellow Pages for SEO, for local SEO companies.
Right.
And it's kind of a counterintuitive thing to approach an SEO company and say, hey, I can do for you what you can't do for yourself. But it turned out that worked for you.
I've actually got a couple of SEO companies that I work with too.
Okay, can you talk about that?
Sure. One of them is he wants to rank for all over, and this is a young kid. He's 25 years old. He's made a couple $1 million, but he's done it with selling hosting. And in October or so, he decided he wanted to get in the SEO business. So he started launching a bunch of SEO stuff, brought on a bunch of cheap customers, and wasn't able to do anything with it. So they started falling off like flies. And he happened to call me another site he saw. I can't think which one it was, but anyway, he ended up giving me a call. And we talked, and I said, look, let's partner together. If you want to, I'll hook you up with your SEO site, which we're getting him rankings in several of the bigger cities in the country. But the people that you bring on, let's funnel through us.
Okay.
And so it's been a slow road. We brought him on actually right at the end, middle of May, so right when the update happens, the most recent Penguin 2.0. And so instead of getting him as far as we did, the pages we were in control of stayed where they were. The rest of his pages fell back some hundreds of positions.
Right.
For instance, he had Colorado Springs SEO. He was number 6 for. Now he's number 400. So
right.
we actually kept what it was where it needed to be, and now we're steadily increasing it there. So, there are a lot of SEO companies out there that are just SEO companies. They're not any more advanced than a lot of people.
Yeah, it would sort of be like saying I'm going to own a restaurant, but I'm not really a food person.
Right.
And so if you're a chef, then you've got something to trade with.
Well, there's a lot of people that say they own a business for the ego of it, and that's purely money aside.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a big factor. So now, what did you do to close? Like obviously, it wasn't, this guy didn't just say, "Wow, you got swagger on LinkedIn. Let me write you a check for $25,000 a month."
Right.
There was obviously like a lot of negotiation stuff like that. Let's get into that, because I think that stuff really matters. A lot of people can get in a position where they're in a negotiation, but things will fall apart and they don't know why.
Right.
Why do you think that deal worked out?
Well, it worked out because they knew I had their best interest at heart. It actually started at a $5,000 deal. By the time it was done, it was $25,000.
So what was the progression?
The progression was just what they wanted and what their expectations were, and what I felt I could give them. And the CEO of the company and I clicked right away. It was just one of those things where we were easy to talk to. We had good conversations, and we talked. He had been looking for someone for a year to change this because he knows the yellow pages are dying and wants, obviously, to keep his position. So they knew they needed to transition the business. So he'd been looking for the last year. We clicked. He called, and that was really how it started. Based on what he wanted, I put together a little package for him. Said, "This is what I can do for this much money."
So what did he want?
He wanted, in the Northeast, that's where they are, he wanted 25 cities to be ranked for multiple headings, like in a yellow page. So lawyer, dentist, fencing, those kind of things.
Okay, great. And so originally you bid that out at $5,000, or was that when you jumped to the $20,000?
Well, it started at 15 markets, and then it moved to, now it's much more than that.
Okay, great.
So I just basically made the package bigger.
Okay, so you just said, hey, while you're at this, why don't you let me do this?
Right. Their market was much bigger than what he had offered.
Yeah.
And I said, look, if I'm going to do this, it's actually going to help us.
Yeah.
If we have more, it's going to make.
Did you show him any of your sites to help him understand your expertise?
I showed him the financial one I showed you, and gave him his number for a reference.
Nice. Did he call?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
And he said, you know what? He said they talked about your integrity and that you did what you said you were going to do, and to me that's huge.
Internship.
The CEO he's an old Marine, so and I was in the military, so we had that kind of connection. And so we got the numbers right. He liked them. He'd been looking for a year. He put it to his board of directors. Then they called me, wanted to meet me. I drove to Virginia, met with the board of directors, and 5 minutes after I walked out of the room.
What was that like? What was the meeting with the board of directors like?
Being on trial.
Okay. What were some of the questions that they asked you?
How long have you been doing it? What are you doing? How would you do this? The thing is with them, they didn't know the first thing about SEO. So they're only going by a couple of SEO people that work for them. Mm-hmm. And, just like we just talked about, Mike, there's certain SEO people that have the job that don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So, I was afraid of that. And I let the CEO know that, look, if they start asking me questions and I give you a little tap, every question they started with was, we heard that, this helps, or we've heard that this is bad, or this, that, and the
right.
other.
So, which is kind of an odd thing for an expert to say.
Right. So that's what we're talking about.
So you tried to insulate the CEO's expectations.
Exactly. That's what I feel is a big part of it. Absolutely. Managing the expectations. A lot of people think you just push a button with SEO and it just happens.
Right.
They don't realize you've got to spend money on the PBRs or the PBNs and that kind of stuff.
So how did you manage their expectations? So what kind of timing did you make any promises, guarantees?
No. No. In fact, in the agreement that we've got, it actually expressly says we make no guarantee of any type of rank or anything like that.
But there's performance incentive that's significant.
Significant, yeah. In fact, when everything goes right, we've got it set up to where month 13 we double, and month 25 we double again.
To 50,000 and then 100,000.
50 and then 100,000 a month. Yep.
Okay, that's extraordinary. Congratulations on
Thank
that. So let's talk about the latest deal. You just closed another $12,000 deal. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. So what's the scoop?
Scoop is this guy saw us. We had a client in Virginia who's a sales management trainer. We had him ranked number 1, 2, and 3
For sales management training.
Sales management training.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What
was he paying you?
He was a friend of mine. It was another one of those $1,000 jobbies. Really, just to have the experience and to have the reference.
Internship.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
So,
and it gives you a model home.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we got him 1, 2, and 3, and we did him for multiple keywords. Again, gave him the reference and said, hey, here's what it is. He saw us there. Again, went to the bottom, clicked our link, and went to our page, and he called and he said, look, you guys obviously know what you're doing. You're number 1, 2, and 3.
So he called your sales manager friend as a reference?
No, he called me.
He called you, but did you give your
But yeah,
sales
he's got it. Yeah,
did
absolutely.
You give him as a reference?
He didn't even call him.
Okay, that's interesting.
He saw we were number 1, 2, and 3 already. I didn't.
Now
have to
you
sell
said
him.
this guy was a real math guy by the books. They're already spending a lot of money on, and you actually, in NHB, you talked to me about this a little bit about the deal as it was going down.
Right.
This is a company where they're already spending a lot of money in print ads and in pay-per-clicks.
Multiple six figures.
Yeah, and so you were able to say, like, look, let me get you a search presence going, and then it was a pretty hard-nosed negotiation.
It was. It was, sometimes you've got to tell people what they don't want to hear, and that was the position that I was in. He thought everything of the world of his group of people that were doing his magazines, his pay-per-click. He thought they were doing more than they were for the SEO, and they just weren't. And I had to be the guy to tell him that.
Okay, so what you did was you showed him that there was a big opportunity out there in the natural search results.
Huge.
Tens of thousands of searches a month.
Yeah.
That he was missing out on.
Absolutely. For a fraction of the cost he was paying.
For a fraction, and how were you able to articulate that?
Literally, I just told him, look, in a worst case scenario, if we get you on the front page and you get 10% of your traffic, and we get 10% of that converts, you're still at 700, it was almost 800 sales a month, which is astronomical. And so at that point he said, okay. And I said, and now here's the thing. I said, the higher we go, you're probably looking at more like between 50 and 80% of clicks. So, multiply that by 5 to 8, and that's where we'll actually be. And here's where we're at. And it was actually about 20% of what he was paying for PPC. For double the traffic.
So one of the things is that you're real happy to go with the client's metrics, to look at the playing field that he's playing on.
Absolutely.
And say, look, you're comfortable with paying for traffic.
Right.
Let's talk about what you're paying for. Let's talk about what you're getting out of it. How many clicks a day are you getting out of this? You're spending $70,000 a month on pay-per-clicks, or $80,000 a month, or whatever it is.
Yep.
How many clicks are you getting off of that? How many sales are you getting off of that? And you're able to paint a model for him where you're able to say, look, I'm going to be able to get you this kind of volume, or even maybe even more, and for a fraction of the cost, and for a convert rate.
Well, and the great thing is the financial client that I have, he actually, their numbers just about match up as far as search volume and stuff. So I can show him that for, say, 70,000 searches a month.
So you're able to kind of go apples to apples.
Absolutely,
in that situation.
absolutely.
And that was real exciting for him.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. He didn't. He came on strong, and once I came back strong and said, "Look, here's the way it works."
Now, when you said he came on strong, like what did he offer? Like
he just tried to be a bully, and it's a lot of customers will try to walk on you and see where you're going to push back, and they'll try to get something for nothing.
So what did he offer you?
He offered me like $5,000 to do 10 times what we're actually doing for 3 times the money now.
Okay, great. So ultimately, you came back and said, "No, pay me $12,000," and then you set the bar much lower than he had set it.
That's right.
Okay, great. Well, I really want to express my appreciation. You drove 3 hours to come out and share this earnings report for us to share lunch, and I had a lot of fun. I'm really proud of what you and Nick are doing. I think it's awesome, and it's really clear to me that you guys just did it right. You built from the bottom up. You just said, like, look, I'm going to get this skill down of SEO. I'm going to, I get it. I'm not the first time I watch a video, it's not going to click. Maybe the third time it won't click, but eventually, if I just do it and keep going for it, I can get something that truly has real world value.
Absolutely. Well, when you watch something over and over again, especially with you and Greg, that the fact is that your knowledge gets bigger, so that when you watch them again, you catch things that you just didn't know were there before to see. So the more you watch, the more you read. I mean, it's just, you see something every time.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming out. And we always say that our OMG is an NHB, as we say, it's a city on a hill, and our members are not just grateful, which you have been, but also incredibly generous. I think that this will be an inspiration point for the next guy. I mean, I'm sure you enjoyed some of our earnings reports as you were kind of coming up, and some of the guys like maybe Martin or Fletch or somebody.
Yeah.
And now somebody's gonna be looking at you and just be like, man, I'm gonna be like Steve. I'm gonna get the job done.
That's
so,
right.
So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks.
How's it going, Jay?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. Do you have a webcam, or are you just going to stick with the perfectly fine either way?
I've got a webcam.
All right, go ahead and fire it up. You already know what I look like. I usually find with these international style call, or even slightly international style calls, it's usually better for me to just keep my webcam off. But you already know what I look like, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great. Well, I'm really stoked to be meeting up with you and conducting this little interview. I got a couple great messages from you. I've got one of them pulled up right now. I'll just start with what you say here. The best part about local IM, which is something that you're really specializing in. You've had some affiliate success as well, but you say the best part about local IM is the recurring income aspect to it. I have 10 local clients. They're paying me $400 per month to keep up their rankings. And you also put out the word that you're also friends with a couple of mutual friends of mine, Travis and Ryan. So take me inside of things. You're working the pedals on both affiliate and with local, which we like to call internet marketing 2.5. This idea of just not being in the old paradigm, not being kind of stuck in place. Because there really are a number of ways to move forward, and I think that you really can bootstrap yourself forward, by being open-minded to both. Can you, first of all, take us inside your first local client, and I also have a follow-up email from you that really had some great stuff in terms of how it is that you're attracting clients, some neat things that you're doing, some innovative stuff. So I think that this is really cool to sit down with you, man.
Well, one of the first local clients I got was actually as a result of a networking meeting, and it was actually quite interesting. It was a meetup, very similar to what Joe was doing.
Yeah.
In terms of the BNIs and whatnot.
You're talking about from Joe from Commission Conspiracy.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was a networking meeting, and it was just kind of hanging out, and someone approached me, and they were a carpet cleaner, and we were just kind of going back and forth, just chit-chatting, and I let him know that I do marketing online, and he says, "Oh, geez, I totally need that."
Yeah.
When Google had switched over or started to switch over from Google Places, the old method of using the maps, to the new method,
the local listings.
Yeah, so with the Google Plus, and as a result of that, he actually lost his listing.
Oh, yeah.
So his hair was on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
So he was in dire needs of some help, and there was really no one out there that knew how to resolve this. And I happened to picked up the information on how to resolve this.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, okay, well, let's set up a time and we'll meet. And so we met at a coffee shop, and I kind of walked them through. And what I really like to do with clients is essentially give them as much free information as possible. And what that does is that it essentially builds your own reputation. The saying, like, the guy thinks, wow, this is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
He's giving me all this free information. And what ends up happening is they realize the work that's involved to actually do any form of local marketing, whether it be recapture a Google local listing, set it up from scratch, maintaining it, building the website, associating the website to, all of that stuff. So, and I find a lot of small businesses, they want to try it themselves at first. They go, oh, it's great. But then what happens is they realize how difficult it is.
Yeah, they hit any sort of a bottleneck, and it's just like, boom, they're stopped. And they've got all the other things going on in their lives. Now, do you ever show off your, as part of your portfolio, do you ever mention your affiliate sites and just kind of show off part of your portfolio?
On the rare occasion, I primarily like to show off more of the other local clients, but yeah, I do show some of the affiliate based stuff to show you how you can rank without actually having a physical location. Mm-hmm. Because there's also a lot of home-based business that don't want to reveal their physical address.
Nice, that's a good point.
Yeah, which is a requirement for Google Places to get that verification listing and to have your listing within the top 7, the map there. Google will send you a postcard or send your client's business a postcard to verify that they actually physically have that business there. And so there's a lot of photographers, for example, a lot of wedding photographers that don't want to, they just work out of their home and they don't want to reveal that information. So showing affiliate sites is a perfect example to say, okay, well here, we can actually rank you locally without requiring a physical address.
Right.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know, and it's all about another thing I like to do is tell them what is your intention? What do you want to do? Whenever I give them the sticker price, typically when I build a website, if they don't have a website, I'll build them a website which ranges anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500.
Right, and so that's before your $400 a month recurring starts.
Correct. Exactly. Okay. And
so you're doing a pretty lucrative business at this point. I mean, is that correct? Like since you've gotten started, and I'm honored because I know that you ultimately got started, in a lot of ways with me and my systems, and so for me it's really heartening. But also the cool thing for me is I'm constantly learning. You know, as you can see from Commission Conspiracy, I mean it is a conspiracy. Like I'm constantly gaining insight and details. I mean, I was doing SEO. I was sitting in a cafe, actually working on the mysterymethod.net, adding a keyword to it, and just doing all that kind of stuff. Because one of our other, OMGers brought something up about another product that's out there, and he's like, "Well, why aren't you ranking for this?" And I was like, "Well, why am I not ranking for this?" You know, so it's really kind of a conspiracy. But I'm interested in this. I think that one of the things that just jumped to mind when I've read a couple of your emails now. And I admire how systematic you are, and I think that that's a real strength of yours. I think that it's something that anybody, getting the opportunity to take chance in this can benefit from. So walk us through, out of your 10 current clients, how many of them did you have to build a website from scratch for?
All 10.
All 10.
Yeah.
So every last one of those 10 not only represents $400 a month, but somewhere between, like a ballpark, $2,000.
Correct.
So you're talking about $20,000 up front, $400 a month. That's Congratulations,
right.
Dude.
Thank you.
Dude, that's a huge success. Just to take you back 2 years ago, would you have thought that was possible 2-3 years ago, like when you were just getting started?
Not at all. No, not at all. At the time, I started out in this life teaching gymnastics. So I guess you can call it a true rags to riches story. You know,
yeah.
I mean, it was a passion. I mean, I was a gymnast myself, and so I never would have thought building websites, and ranking them online, dominating them online.
Yeah, that's so cool. Wow, that's really really cool. The funny paths that we walk. So. Well, but it's funny. I hear where you're coming though. I remember when I first, I was in college and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I had a history degree. I was wrestling. I was a good wrestler. But then, one day I had the horror of beating somebody really good, like an All-American. And I was like, well, now what? Am I going to be a wrestling coach? Is that what I'm going to do with my life? Is that really what I'm passionate about? Am I going to go to the Olympics? I mean, what am I going to do? Like, yeah. Where's it going to go? And it just.
I had that same kind of crossroads where my body was starting to tell me I needed to stop coaching because it's very hard on the body lifting athletes all day long.
Yeah.
And I was at a crossroads where I didn't want to do this anymore, and I was always fascinated by computers and the internet and whatnot. So it was there happened to be a graphic design school that was kind of around the corner. So I took a couple courses here and there, and we didn't really do much in terms of marketing and business. But and so then I went off and I did some stunt work for a little while in the movies. And I said, no, I couldn't do that anymore. But end of the day, I made I was living off credit cards. I was paying one credit card from another, like using one credit card to pay off another credit card. It was just building and building and building. And, it was those networking meetings that actually made a real difference. And so, anyone who wants to get involved in local marketing and want to get rolling with that, go to one of those meetups or a BNI meeting or something. There are a plethora of people out there that are looking for people who want to provide a service to help them get ranked online, because nobody uses the yellow pages or the phone books anymore, other than, propping up kids to eat at the dinner table and pulling doors open, And each year you can see the yellow pages or the super pages and whatnot are slowly getting thinner and thinner and thinner. So there's tons of people out there. I was actually really blown away how many people were really in need of this stuff and really in need of education on how important it is to be online, locally speaking. And people were just kind of blown away. It's like, wow, if you can convince them that they have an ROI, if they can get the return on their initial investment, the sale is closed. Even if they have a website, say, listen, all right, so it's $2,000. Let's rebuild your site the way that I think is going to rank really well. And they go, oh, that's a little expensive. And I say, okay, well, how many new clients or customers do you need to make that money back? And they think in their head, and they'll say, they'll give me an answer, 5. So, and then I'll show them, okay, well, let's look at how many people are searching for your business, trying to conduct business for you. So, I'll show them the approximate amount of searches people are using to try to find a wedding photographer, plumber, carpet cleaner, whatever. And they'll look and they say, okay, well, now let's calculate maybe 10% of that number says that you'll actually get that business. So we get 1,000 searches a month. Let's say only 10% of those actually end up being clients. So you're going to make your money back within the first month.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, wow. Oh, okay. And it's a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, that's a
convincing them that ROI is really important.
That's really powerful. There's two things that you're saying that I think I want to highlight, because I think that they're very smart. And I also want to get back to talking about how systematic you are in the deals that you're offering people. So there's really 3 buckets I want to get to here. One of the things I want to do is go back to what you're saying about BNI and business meetups, because we've seen this. Joe talked about it. A number of people inside Commission Conspiracy talked about it. Very important. I liken this to actually just kind of flipping the script a little bit. In the relationship advice world, I think that the biggest overlooked opportunity is online dating. It just shocks me. It just shocks me how much blood, sweat, and tears a guy or a gal will put into kind of cold approach pickup, what really amounts to just, the opposite of shooting fish in the barrel, just totally taking complete, Hail Marys right and left, going to bars to try to meet somebody, hoping to meet somebody at the grocery store, women getting dressed up really, really hard to try to go to the grocery store and hopefully meet their dream man. And I know that sounds good. It sounds romantic. It sounds nice. Just like it sounds romantic and nice to land a business client under those same kind of circumstances, just walking around and meeting them and this and that. But the thing about online dating is that the people who are there are expressly there and paying attention for the purposes of starting and sparking a relationship. And what you have there is that kind of, like you said, hair on fire, shooting fish in a barrel kind of effect. It's very, very different. Same thing with a BNI meeting. And it's also a matter of timing. You can have literally the same person who's going to go home and be online on Match.com, who's at a bar right now just saying hey to a friend, but she's going to go home or he's going to go home. And once they're home, they crack open their computer and boom, they're in the mode of meeting somebody online. That's what they're thinking about. In the same way, you can meet that lawyer, that dentist, that carpet cleaner. You can meet him at the grocery store, at the bookstore or whatever, and he's in a different mode. He's with his family. His wife's calling him. He's, things are going on. Or he's at his office conducting his business, and he gets a cold call from you. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but the thing is, once you're at one of these business meetups or BNIs, it's like again, the same metaphor as the online dating, like they're already looking to meet somebody. They're looking to engage in business. And, the context then shifts to your side because here's the other thing is with online marketing, especially with this kind of OMG approach where we can absolutely stone cold rank a site. You just know it. You know you can get them traffic. And you put some extra elbow grease into it and some extra focus into it. Add some things that you do, which you've done very, very smart. You add to your repertoire, and next thing you know, you have just an unfair advantage. I mean, you really are their dream, like what they're looking for. And then that's all really big. So that's one bucket aside. Why the the BNIs and the Chamber of Commerce's and these business meetups, referrals, all these things are really terrific. So that's one bucket. Another thing I want to look at is the way that you're approaching clients. I think, and these both kind of fall under the idea. And as I'm listening to you, I have a good ear for this. The things that you're doing that are helping you be successful, that are sparking things for you. You're taking this systematic approach. You have a lot of swagger. I think it's great. It really matters. I want people to be able to absorb that from you. I certainly have it myself. Is this idea of the systematic approach, both the client getting and then presenting them with a deal. And I want to talk about those two buckets because I think that both of them are very important. What's the deal you're presenting and how are you convincing people? And I want to start a little bit, a cart, not cart before the wheel, but, whatever it is, horse before the cart before the horse. Let's talk about the deals that you're getting into, and then I want to talk about client getting. Because one of the things I noticed right away, if you say, well, I've got 10 local clients, like the fact that you're able to funnel these people into very similar deals, makes things systematic for you. Now, we also have other people that are having a lot of success, really working with very, very different kinds of businesses where they're working with some big fish, and that can be great. But I'll tell you what, having a baseline of a systematic deal where you're not reinventing the wheel every time, that really decreases the amount of hemming and hawing and wishing and washing. It makes things more systematic. So this deal that you're presenting, ultimately, like let's say I'm a business owner. Let's just do a little bit of role playing here for a second, if you don't mind. So, okay, so I'm a lawyer, and maybe you wouldn't offer this for a lawyer, so if you would calibrate, let me know. But let's say I'm a personal injury attorney, and we've met at a Chamber of Commerce, something like that, or a BNI, and we've gone back and forth. I understand you're an online marketing expert, and ultimately I say, listen, Jay, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I've been burned before. I have a back cover of the Yellow Pages here. They're giving me fire sale prices. I don't know how that's going for me. I hired a firm that's right in the business, right in the city next over. 1 hour away or whatever. They found me through the Yellow Pages. They said that they were going to give me the sun, the moon, the stars. It's $2,000 a month. I'm locked into a 6-month contract. What makes you different? And really, the problem is I'm not seeing results. I'm not in the listings. That's not what's going on. What deal are you offering?
Well, there's a couple of things that you mentioned there that I want to point out that make a huge difference, or which I'm very different. One thing you said is you're dealing with a firm. So that would mean you have either a corporation or you have several people working for you. Thus, your cost is going to be higher. I'm a one-man gang, so that means your cost, and I have very low overhead because I work from home. So my overhead is far less than someone having a firm where they have to rent an office and pay staff. So my initial costs are a lot less. The other thing you mentioned was a contract. I don't have contracts because I personally don't believe that you don't need to have a contract to stay with the client. Okay, because I personally work on performance-based results. So what that initially means is we'll redo your site to the way, or I'll redo your site to the way that I feel would work best to get ranked in the search engines. Not just Google, but Bing as well, because Bing is very important right now. If you think, just as a side segue, if you think about all the new computers that are coming out, they're being shipped with this new Windows version, and by default, the search engine on that fancy pants new desktop is Bing. So you never underestimate that Bing search engine. But yeah, I don't do contracts. So I'll build the website, and will get you ranked on the first page for your targeted keyword. Just one keyword, not a whole bunch of them. We focus on one keyword, and that is probably the most profitable keyword. We will go through and discover that.
So what if it was like personal injury attorney Knoxville? I mean, can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the initial cost would be around $2,000 to $2,500, and what you get with that is we'll build you a new site, and it'll be optimized for that particular keyword. Okay, and we'll do everything that we normally do to get you ranked for that keyword. Once you're on that first page, at which point then the next 30 days, the next month, we would then kick in a recurring consulting fee. And what that's initially for is to make sure that because when you're on the top of the mountain, the lions going up to the top of the mountain are always hungrier. So that means your competitors are going to start to do things to try to outrank you. And what I like to do is I like to push those people down to make sure that you're not going to lose your rankings, okay? The other thing, too, is that once you're on the first page, maybe you might be position 5, position 6, but when we start doing our recurring, that's the meat of it, where we start to push you up onto the first, onto that top spot, so number 1 or number 2, okay? So performance-based results, it means, maybe it takes 2 months or 3 months. It won't, but maybe it takes 2 months to get you on top or get you on that first page. But you're not going to be paying anything monthly until you're actually on the first page, right? You go out and find someone else that will do that for you. Probably not. Okay, so that's what really sets my company apart versus pretty much everyone else, Wow. And I actually take a lot of passion in helping my local community versus just, you're not just another paycheck to me. I actually have a great passion. You help people, and I help people as well. So we are essentially in the same business.
Let me break out of the role playing. I think that was really terrific, by the way. I think that was really strong. Let me ask you this: do you bring up, when and how do you bring up other clients that you have? Do you show your other clients to that person?
Yes. If my other clients.
All right, hey, this is Mike. I'm doing what I love to do most. I'm meeting with, in this case, David Hood. David is an OMGer. David's an NHBer. Welcome, David. Can you hear me?
You broke out for a second.
Oh, okay. Now can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so to give the kind of backstory behind this, Greg sent me this email over the weekend on March 1st, 3 days ago here, and it was about Brian Halliday, who's having some great success doing some coaching. He's made about $5,000, and Greg meant to include me and David Mills, but instead he accidentally included you, David, and you and I wound up talking on this thread, and actually showed me some really great results that you're having. Let me just take a look at this here. Kind of as we're talking, you got a deal through a local marketing agency. You told me a little bit about that a second ago, where you made $2,500 up front, and then I think that's a plumber. Oh no, that's somebody different. And then you got another deal for $1,800 up front, and then you just have a bunch of deals that you have going on. And I wanted to find out kind of the inside baseball from you of what deals that you've made. And also people are really interested in how you make the deals. Obviously some are just people that you know, some are moves that you make. So I'm just kind of curious for the inside baseball to your growing success here.
So probably one of the best ones is actually the marketing agency. And what had happened was I had met her at some internet marketing thing 9 months ago or something. And I was actually doing other internet marketing, and I was using a reseller, which I think a lot of people are using a reseller. And when she heard that, she was like, I'm not really interested in that. But I filed that away, and as soon as I started doing well with grades with NHB, I gave her a call in January, and she was really interested almost immediately. What I did was I sent her a video, like a 20-minute video on the business that she was getting a deal with, that was very much like how Greg does it. I had my picture on the bottom, and I had showed my screen. and I walked through the keyword research and the competition and showed her the opportunity, and it was, you know, it looked like there was a pretty good opportunity. And I told her, I basically gave her a look into kind of my plan, and she was really impressed. And so she got a deal for me with that. And so that one, what I've been trying to do is structure a lot of the deals, and I think that it works. People like it, even though it's a little bit more upfront. But it's a lot like what you showed in one of your videos in NHP. With how to structure the deals, where it's kind of like an upfront sort of retainer, but then it's a performance after that. There's not really many people out there that are offering these kind of SEO deals, because these people are getting marketed to constantly, getting so many calls. Like, especially there's a lot of big companies that they just have giant teams of salespeople that are making 100 calls a day to small businesses trying to convert them. And so they're getting a ton of calls, but none of the deals look like this. They're all like $1,000 a month, $500 at the minimum, and more like $1,000 to $2,000 a month, just flat. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, tough. And so that's usually worked pretty well. So I've had that. That one was $2,500 up front, and then like you said, the plumber was $1,850. And then I do have another guy who, right when I started NHB, I decided to deal with him. It was only $550, I think, actually up front, and then from there he was going to pay me per lead. And then I already is nowhere, and he's number 4 right now after less than 3 months for his top keyword. And he's got a bunch of keywords on the first and second page, probably like 40 or 50.
Wow.
Maybe a little less than that, but a bunch of keywords. And so he sees that and he's real happy. And so he's talking about he wanted to dominate the whole area that I live in, all the little cities. And I told him, okay, well, let me get back to you. And I actually asked for like $4,500 a month. But he's like, nah, I don't think so. And so I said, how about, he wanted to do more of a performance basis, so he's agreed to, although I haven't officially signed it, but he's agreed to $4,500 up front, and then the same pay for performance before. But instead of just doing kind of a smaller area, I'm doing a much larger area.
That's
so
awesome.
Those are the biggest deals, but I'm really looking forward to the marketing agency. She's just going to keep sending me business. You know, so that's mine, even though it's not the biggest deal. It's something that...
Yeah, I love that where you made a Camtasia video for her with a picture-in-picture video. And what are some of the metrics that you went through? Did you open up the Google Keyword Tool? Did you kind of multiply out what the leads could be worth for her? How did you walk through things for her?
Yeah, so sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. It depends on what kind of data that I have. Sometimes it's harder to guess how much they're making per lead. At the very least, I'll use the cost per click data and say, you know, I know that some people are paying for this, but, you know, even if I got you, if I got you this amount of traffic, this is how much people are paying for it. I can get you this for much less than that. What I do is I take the Google Keyword Tool and I export it to Excel, and I kind of toy with it, and I highlight it. I highlight the different cities. This is multiple locations that this one through the marketing agency, different colors, make it look neat. I use a pivot table. I know a lot about Excel. And I actually also have a tool, I pulled in their rankings and put it next to what they're currently ranking. And so I made it so I didn't show them the keyword tool, but I took the data from it and I processed it, and then I showed them that. And then I showed the competitors on the top search phrases that they would probably be going after, and how weak they were, and how I'm just like, man, this is not going to be hard. There were exact match domains for some of their top search phrases, like the .com with no dashes, and so I was like very confident that that's something that could easily be got.
So that's really brilliant. So what you're doing is, first of all, you're not just taking what Google, spits out. You're formatting it and working with it and tuning it, and then you're being like, well, listen, now, like, let me show you the great news. The great news is that your competitors are actually 50-pound weaklings, and I can just smash them like Godzilla for you, and that you can...
Yeah, and I can show that. I show them the tool that Greg uses to evaluate the competition. I don't have a problem showing them that. I don't have a problem giving them a peek into what I do, because it still kind of goes a little bit over their head, but they can see, I can break it down to the most basic number and just say, look, this is low. And I can look at it, I can tell if they're doing SEO. It's very easy to tell. And I can tell if they're not doing SEO. I can look at their links, and I can look on their page and see, wow, they're not even they don't have the right thing and the right keywords in their title, so they're clearly to be really easy to beat. Or and you have an old site with a bunch of natural links, and it shouldn't be a big deal. And then again, I think using exact match domains also as a competition metric as well as a way to potentially to get them multiple results on the first page is pretty powerful stuff. When I show them that, and I show that there's a couple of exact match domains that I've gotten that all I did was buy it and install like WordPress on it, and it ranks sometimes with that, with just that. And so when I show them that, I just bought this like a week ago, and it's already on like the second page for the search phrase. They're like, wow, okay, so that works pretty well.
Well, okay, so you've got kind of like a small bag of tricks, but they're all pretty effective, and you're just like looking to see what sparks for them, and then you're kind of piling on there.
Yeah, I mean, I create the video, and I just kind of walk through my thought process as much as I can, and I think that when a video is about your business, they're impressed by it. I've actually taken these videos also and burned them to DVDs and sent them to people as sort of like a prospecting tool. That's worked a little bit. I haven't done a lot of that. It's a secret little trick. It's a lot of work, but it's very powerful because these people are getting a lot of direct mail, but nobody's sending them DVDs.
Yeah, here's a DVD about your business.
Yeah, your online presence. Check it out. It's hard not to at least look at it. No pressure. I'm not cold calling or anything. I've gotten several calls back that way. I'm trying to think of any of the deals that I've closed. I don't think any of the deals that I've closed now or any of the new ones have come that way. But I've gotten interest that way.
Well, so, and the thing is, you just try things, and as you get going, like you learn what works. The point is, you're making decent money doing this at this point. I mean, you're really like starting to really get something kindled. You're starting to get referrals. You actually got one deal through a referral recently. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then the one that I'm going to go to actually have to leave here in like less than 10 minutes is from another referral. I've tried a lot of different things. I've been doing this for a little while. Before I joined NHB, it wasn't very successful. It's gotten a lot better since I joined NHB. I don't necessarily think you need a lot of the previous experience because of the level of service that Greg provides. I mean, I thought I was trying to come up with an analogy, but the best I could say was that when I bought the first product, your V-Books, I thought that was like a $2,000 product right there. And I think the same thing applies to the NHB program, the same ratio. I think it's like a $10,000 or $20,000 product. Basically. Wow. So, I mean, I'm the level of service that Greg provides, I don't know. Does that guy sleep? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's a beast. I got to tell you, he's really the best business partner that me and David Mills have ever had. He's just incredible. And we've built millions of dollars worth of businesses, and we've worked with some very talented and creative people, but I've never worked with anybody like Greg Morrison. He just blows me away.
He really seems to, and it shows in a lot of the videos, he really seems to be looking out for what's best for us. Like, there's a lot of times where he puts in the extra work just to save us $50, when, who knows how much an hour, an extra 30 minutes or an hour of his time is worth. So he really takes it. So, but I mean, after seeing all the videos and watched her, I ate up everything that he put on there. I've watched all the videos, so, and taken detailed notes. That's part of what gives me a lot of confidence, and especially lately with the results that I've been able to provide. It's been good.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm really appreciative. I don't want you to have to rush out the door. I want you to land this deal. So thank you very much for your valuable time, David. I really, really appreciate it. We had to go back and forth, change formats a few different times, so I really appreciate. And I'm glad for the serendipity of this. And I will see you inside of NHB. Well, this is Mike Long. I'm here with Lonnie. And Lonnie, I know now a lot more about your success than I knew to begin with. I've been listening to this, and me and Greg and David Mills have been sitting on this secret of your incredible success. If we go to, if we go and search for things like Manor AAU basketball or Austin AAU basketball, which actually turns out, you'll find out in a second, is a major search term, then this website here, impactsports.com, this number 3 and number 4 for Austin AAU basketball. And how many search terms is it that you're on page 1 for now, Lonnie?
200 plus.
You're on page 1 for 200 plus search terms. That's school names, that's little areas, little regions. You're in the middle, right smack dab in the middle of search engine domination.
Right.
And you're getting also thousands of visitors. I checked out your YouTube channel. You're getting thousands of visitors at this point to your YouTube channel. If I look at uploads altogether, we're looking at almost 9,000 viewers to your website. This is your site here, impactsports.com. I'm on the AAU tryouts page, and people can sign up and so forth. We'll talk about that in a second. But what's the financial? How much money has this site made you in the last 3 months?
Well, coming into the 3 months. Well, I say before this, I want to say I made close to $12,000. Very close to $12,000 for this last season. But this season that we're getting ready to go into, I'll make anywhere between $50,000 and $60,000.
So from $12,000 to $50,000 to $60,000, and has it been harder than last season to do, or easier than last season to do?
Well, it's easier now because of what I'm doing with the NHB group. It's just skyrocket all of the things that I'm doing. I feel like I got just the leverage over everybody, because I know how much, I know how much the whole website thing has helped my site along.
Yeah. And ranking for 200 terms, you've had over 5,000 visitors this month. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's awesome.
I was able to check that out through something Greg said in one of the videos. You go through the C panel, go to your C panel, and then you look, it's on the left-hand side. It shows you all of your clicks, and that's more accurate than, he said that's more accurate than going to Google Analytics.
Yeah.
So I just followed that.
And you just had a tryout yesterday, and normally for a tryout now to give folks a bit of a contrast, you were actually in somebody else's facility. They also, it's basically one of your competitors, and you're renting out their facility for the tryout, and so they own their own facility. And how many people did they get for their tryouts to their own facility?
Well, they had tryouts same day, and I want to say they had roughly about 20 guys in there for tryouts. And the guy who was hosting the tryouts, he stayed around, and I told him a week before, I said I should have a lot of kids in here.
Yeah.
So make sure we had a gym ready for me. And you could see on his face, he could not believe how could I have that many kids.
Because how many did you have?
My whole tryout for yesterday, I had 119 kids come out.
So you basically had 100 more than he did, which is a lot. You mentioned to me before, you said it was like a soup kitchen line, like you just had like a line wrapped around the door.
When I saw that many kids, first of all, my administrator, she's looking at me like, are you crazy? Because normally I just have one administrator, she can handle it all, we just keep going.
Yeah.
But she's like, through the entire workout, she was non-stop working.
Yeah.
Because I had so many kids coming in there. And like I said, I had a line around the corner of people waiting to get in and register.
That's extraordinary. And so the real dollar value to this is you made, like ultimately, you make $600 per individual who signs up in profit, who signs up for your program. And these are lives that you're changing. You actually had an experience at one of your tryouts, or actually not even a tryout. You're actually just stopping by a local, was it a middle school, and you had a bit of an experience. A young guy walked up to you and asked you a question?
Yeah, well, what happened was I was at the gym. I was actually scouting kids, and I gave my card to one kid, and there was another kid right next to him. He said, "Hey, I know you." I said, "Why you know me?" And he said, "I seen your video. You're on YouTube." And this video that he saw is the one where I have like 3,000 hits for it, well, over 3,000, almost 4,000 hits for the video. And me, I was blown away by it, you know. I mean, cause, you know, it's kind of like the star type deal. You know, you see these people on TV, but you never actually see them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I felt. Like, hey, I see you on TV, but I never actually see you. So it was cool for me to.
Were you getting the same kinds of views on your videos before you joined NHB, or are you getting more now?
I'm getting way more now. Way more. Because I'm starting to do more videos, and I'm seeing how quick it works. You know, how quick I can get them up in the search engines. And if I could get a page on the search engine without doing the entire website, why not do that? Just direct them straight to my page.
Yeah, exactly. You get it right up there. Now let's talk about some of the smart things that you're doing here on your page. We've got this AAU tryout form, which is really just an opt-in page, but it's so brilliant because you're flipping the script. Normally with opt-ins, you just say, give me your name and your email address. You're like begging for it. Here you framed it as if it's a tryout.
Right. Well, what I did was I put this form together, and what it does, it really lets me know that people are serious about trials. Put this page together, and I did it with AWeber, and it's designed to get all of their information before they walk through the door. And if you see on my page, I have a couple different locations. How it helps me is I'm able to say, okay, I know how many kids are going to come to my north location, how many kids are going to come to my south, and how many kids are going to come to my Cedar Park location. So I now know before I walk in the door approximately what I should be seeing.
Yeah.
And, you know, and for me, that's a big determinator because I know how much I got to pay this guy before I walk through the door. You know, or I don't need this much time, I only need this time. But for me doing this, I mean, my numbers have been massive.
Now, what were the costs before? Because, you know, obviously NHB is a significant, you know, it's a premium course. It's in the $2,000 range. And did you have costs, like when you made $12,000 last year, were there any costs for that, or was that free?
No, well, when I did it before, I had to, well, you get the time frames different. The $12,000 I made in my prior season. My prior season is not a big season, but you know, $12,000 is $12,000.
Yeah.
But I would have had to spend probably about a good $3,000 or $4,000 to make that $12,000.
So this $12,000 that you just made is profit in addition to the $60,000?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so, like, let's say last year, let's back the bus up all the way to last year, because obviously, like you're saying, you're ramping things up because you joined us in October. So your previous season, you started making more money, you cut your costs down, right? So last summer, what would the costs have been? You'd have to print up flyers, all kinds of things, right?
Well, last year it cost me, I want to say about roughly $6,000 to make like 30,000, and that's still, I got to take out coaches and all of that stuff. But yeah,
right.
About $30,000. Well, this year, because the numbers started going up so quick, I kept saying I'm going to send out the flyers. I'm going to send out the flyers, but I'm seeing 70, 80 kids register, you know, during the time period I should have sent out the flyers. So I said, well, I'll wait one more week.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's 100 kids registered.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let me wait one more week. You know, because now I'm like, well, I ain't got to put that $6,000 out. Now, if I got these numbers already, I almost didn't believe the numbers. I started looking at the AWeber to check and see if these people just pulling my leg or somebody just putting stuff in here or something. But the numbers started going up so much, and I'm like, and the calls started coming in. I mean, my calls started coming in nonstop. My emails were nonstop. You know?
How many leads were you getting in a day?
Don't know me.
Yeah. About how many leads were you getting in a day here during this stretch?
At one point, I was getting about, 13, 14 emails a day, and I'm getting sign-ups, 15, 20. I had 20 people sign up in one day. That there blew me away. Like, I literally had 20 people sign up for my website in one day. So, I mean, and it just steadily kept going.
Yeah.
Going and going. I mean, I got people, I mean, even today we're on this call, I'm on this call, and I got people registered who's registered today.
That's awesome. What an awesome feeling. And it goes 24/7, you know, like unlike before, you know, it goes 24/7. If a dad gets home 2 o'clock in the morning, he wants to, you know, look around and see what the best place to get his son or daughter enrolled, then your website's sitting right here. And the crazy thing for me here, you know, I said that, you know, me and Greg and David Mills have known about this, you know, and you asked us to kind of keep the lid on it, keep quiet about it up to this point. And we've been just freaking out. We've been so excited about this because this is, you know, such a huge case study, such a huge success story. And, you know, because here you are, I mean, racking up for the last 3 months, $20,000 a month. It's just incredible. And it's just so enjoyable for us to see the success that you're having. And you're ranking for over 200 keywords, and you're just getting started. You're not some technical wizard. Is that correct? I mean, going into things with NHB, you know.
No, I mean, I knew a little bit about WordPress, you know, just basically what I had found off YouTube. That's used to be that's usually been my first resource when it came to websites. Like, let me see what I can find out on YouTube on how to do this, how to do an HTML code and all that stuff. But, I mean, I got in with you guys and how Greg walks you step by step by step.
Yeah.
You know, it really, really helped me. And I got to give him, you got to give that guy, you know, applaud, because I could imagine how much time it takes to do that and get it done right. So for me, I know you guys love what you do.
We do.
You know, so you have to be able to do, you know, do the kind of quality that I get from this.
Wow, thank you very much. I was going to ask you what you'd say to somebody, and I asked you this before, and so for me, I'm already red in the face with pride. But if somebody was on the fence about joining NHB, what would you tell them?
I personally would tell them to do it. And I'm going to say this part. Don't just pay for the course. Do what they say. You know, and I have to say this. I haven't did any of the other websites. I've made up all of the stuff that you guys got laid out for me. I haven't done it yet. I said, you know what? My job now is to see if this works with what I have.
Yeah.
If this works on my site, it'll work on anything else I can do.
That's awesome.
You know, and I mean, this alone now, I mean, honestly, I'm through doing what I was doing on the side, like, as far as, like, side jobs and work. What's about to come in right now means I can do this full time.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
I can at least do this for next year already. I mean, come on, $60,000.
Yeah.
Minus my bills, I can live if I live modestly, I can live from now to next year.
Yeah.
And do this all over again.
And you're now thinking of expanding to you know, other times of the years. You know, when before you just wouldn't have done it because you wouldn't have gotten enough kids.
Right. I mean, from this is going to fix I feel like this is going to fix my camp problems that I'm doing. My summer camps is going to fix what I want to do in the winter, what I want to do in the fall. For me, now it's about, we talked about this a little bit earlier, about launch dates. It's about setting up launch dates and preparing yourself for what's going to come in.
Yeah, and emailing your list. You've got a growing list of individuals who have come to your site and signed up, and they've given you all this information, and you can just talk to them, share videos.
Yeah.
You actually filmed this most recent tryout, and your gym was just stuffed with kids coming in. You know, you have a video of just all these kids. You can send that video out.
I mean, the video, I did this yesterday. First time I did a video for my tryouts. I've always did, you know, myself videos, but this one I did to show people, man, he's got this many kids coming in here. He must be doing something right.
That's right.
You know, and you know, when you think about what do you call it, Google. What do most people think when they see that the number one, number two, number whatever, you're on the top page? Most people that don't know much about the website think those must be the best people.
They do.
You know, because that's why they're there first. That's the human.
Well, and there's some truth to it. I mean, look at you. Yeah.
And if you look at my terms, I thought this was cool. I wasn't floating my boat, but I put on my terms, #1, Austin Youth Basketball Program. The best Austin Youth Basketball Program. And I did that because, and I got people calling me, asking me, why, why are you the #1? Why are you this? And I get to sit back and say, well, this is why I'm next. You know, and then people sign up behind it.
Yeah, I like that. And that's a great point for conversion. I mean, it actually helps you convert to be #1. And the reality is, you cared enough to do this. You know, that's just the reality. That's just the truth of the matter. Like, you cared enough to go out and join NHB and implement what you learned. And that's why you're all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the funny thing. Now that I know that I can make these pages the way they are, now it's time for me to take exactly what I did and just blast it all over the place.
Yeah.
This is one cool thing. I don't know, maybe I'm moving up on AAU basketball itself, but I had a kid call me from Minnesota.
From Minnesota.
He called me from Minnesota, and I'm looking at his number, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
No, you know, I mean, at some point you could go. At some point you could go national. You can make videos and have a program nationally, or help other AAU coaches fill their programs. Because one of the great things about what you're doing is, you know, I mentioned this before, but you know, a lot of people think that the internet marketing is exciting because of the scale. But like I said, I mean, scale. What do you mean? I mean, Coca-Cola is everywhere. McDonald's is everywhere. Apple Computers is everywhere. It's not scale. The question is cost of doing business. You know, when you don't have to spend $6,000 on flyers and doing all the work to do it, and then you get way more kids, then you have more time yourself to focus your creativity on your program. Now you can go full-time. You can be full-time thinking about how to do a better job. You mentioned to me you might bring in, you know, strength and conditioning coach. You might bring in, you know, higher quality assistants. And you yourself can do a better job. You're passionate about it. This is exciting for you.
And for me, this is cool because now I can go hunt out guys I want to work for me, that I know that are passionate. And then up under my name, which means they're never going to leave me because they know they're never going to have to worry about work. And because I'm doing the work. So when I come to you and I say, I want you to speed agility for me, I'm going to build you a page, put you on the first page of Google. You're going to have more clients than you can handle. Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
That anybody's going to do that for you.
You're the one. I mean, you're the only one doing NHB. You know, so that's.
But I'm just saying, those people. I'm basically saying, you know what? I go look up the search terms for speed and agility or personal training or whatever it is, and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to build a site, get me on the first page of Google, and this guy works for me or with me or however you want to call it. I'm going to give you more clients than you can handle. Are you ready to work?
Yeah.
You're never going to have to worry about this because I'm the guy.
Well, and that puts him in a position that he can do a better job with strength and conditioning, or being an assistant coach, or being an administrator. Like, because they're not having to do all these odd job tasks. They're not having to, take out the garbage, so to speak. You know, they're getting to focus in on what they're good at because you have built a more efficient business. So you really are set up to do a better job. Now, I said this before. This is wonderful for you because now you can get more testimonials. You can get video testimonials with the kids that are coming in and share them, and you can share it with your email list that you're building bigger and bigger. You can mail that list for free, unlike before where if you had a mailing list, it would cost you a lot of money, 40 cents a stamp nowadays. But I wanted to kind of wrap around, bring things full circle, because I pray about this stuff. I pray about your success, Lonnie. I pray about the success of NHBers every single day, about OMGers. I want people to have providence and success. It's very important to me. I feel very grateful and fortunate for the good things that have happened in my life. I'm very thankful to Jesus, and I feel like my life has been saved because of him, and I want other people to have as many opportunities as they can have. You were telling me about what you're grateful for. As I sort of restarted this interview, and I wanted to kind of wrap things around, bring things full circle. You were talking about, the path that you took, because this is about the path that you took. This is about the steps that you've taken in your life, and where were you when you were you know, a young man coming up in Chicago, look, what were things like for you? And bringing things full circle now, you said you had some parting thoughts, and I missed most of them. So I wanted to wrap around to the very beginning.
Oh, well, I mean, I grew up in Chicago, and, you know, I was fortunate to be a pretty good athlete where, you know, I didn't have to pay for anything because people, you know, like my talent enough to pick me up. I was able to go to private school because of that, and, you know, and just do some things that I wouldn't probably ordinarily been able to do because I was talented enough to be able to do them. But because of what's going on now, I really feel like I can do the same thing. I'm getting these kind of math and numbers. I can see a kid who ordinarily couldn't afford to be in my program and say, you know what, I have sponsorship money for you. They don't know where the sponsorship money is coming from, but you can play for me. You can be in my program. You can go to all of my camps free of charge because I know I have the money to make sure they're being in there, and I'm not looking at this from a standpoint. I got to make sure I'm able to pay the lights, pay whatever I'm paying for to rent this gym, you know, and for me, this is going to change the way I do things as far as my sports program because of the way NHB has helped me along the way.
I really appreciate you saying that, and you know, it goes to show that the more, you know, I think this is natural for people. The more they have success, the more they naturally give back, and it's a very abundant thing. And I'm just really grateful for you. You know, this has been ultimately a short interview for viewers right now, because, you know, Lonnie and I ended up talking for a long time, but we've been on the phone for over an hour. It's been extremely enjoyable for me and something I'm extremely grateful for. Lonnie, do you have any parting thoughts about OMG or anything else that you've learned along the way that you'd want people to know before we wrap things up?
My first thing would be just take the stuff that you've given, that Greg's given, and use it. Because I mean, since I've been trying to learn this website thing, I pretty much have bought everything under the sun. You know, I mean, from plugins to you name it, I done bought it. And this is the first time I've ever actually, bought a course where it was as interactive as this is, and it worked. Because, you know, if it's not working, I need to get on and say, hey, Greg, how come this isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, or this is taking too long? And Greg's always very reassuring, because I had a page that we had that fell off, like, disappeared. And he's like, oh, that's Google doing whatever they're doing to you. Don't do anything, just sit back and wait. Sure enough, I sit back and wait. Page came back. Because I was freaking out, because it was one of my most popular pages, so I was freaking out like, did I have to get something wrong? But that's what I was saying. I would say, you know, stop trying to get everything else. One thing I really did with you guys is I got rid of all of these emails of all of these new gadgets, new plugins. I just say, you know, I'm gonna listen to these guys. Everything's working. I'm just gonna listen to you. I'm gonna stop seeing what's the new, the next, or whatever, and I'm just gonna follow this. And if it doesn't work, I'll give it the time frame I'm supposed to give it. And then if this doesn't work, then I'm gonna do something completely different. I'll be back to square one. No different than what I was before. But honestly, everything that I've done, the steps I've taken, the strategies that I've used from you, I haven't did everything, but the strategies that I've done and used from you guys have really worked. I'm nowhere near through your whole course, but what I've used so far is about to take me $60,000.
That's amazing.
This is one website. It's not 50 sites. It's just one.
Yeah.
You know.
That's awesome.
And if I take that and apply that to all this other stuff, you know, that you guys are doing, you know, who's to say I can't make 10 sites that's $60,000?
No, there's nothing holding you back. Lonnie, I got to tell you, you know, we do this 50% for testimonials, you know, 50% for profit. You know, OMG is a city on a hill. We've said it. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. But you're well on your way to huge success. you talked to me about your vision that, you could have your own like sports university. You could have, I mean, there's really the sky's the limit for you. You could go national. You could really focus in on Austin. But the point is now you have the leverage. You can be the one making the moves. You have deal-making leverage, so you can join forces with other coaches and other organizations. You're writing your own ticket.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that one part, because I'm getting people asking me that now. I'm getting people calling me and asking me, do they want to join up with my program, or, I think it's more so he's trying to figure out how I'm getting the numbers that I'm getting, but, that's our secret.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm getting people who are asking me. I'm meeting today with the guy who wants to start baseball.
Yeah.
And the guy who wants to start baseball, he doesn't know anything about, conversions or a website.
Yeah.
And all the thing I told him, I said, listen, you want to be an owner, you'll be coming in my business, I'll get you more clients than you can handle.
Yeah.
And from that, he said, you know what, let's have a meeting today.
Yeah.
And I'm having this meeting, and I'm sitting here figuring out how to make this work for him.
And it's crazy because this is all, we talked about this before, but it wasn't when we were recording. This is a recession. Like you're telling me, like what are parents' spending habits on programs like this during a recession?
Well, when this goes on, parents usually taper back. They maybe pick one thing that the kid's gonna do, and and that's about it. And my website leverages that, because I feel like because I'm in front of so many people, it's leveraging it. Coolest thing is when I had my speech yesterday at my tryouts, I said, can you guys raise your hand and tell me how many of you guys found out about my website online? Seriously, 90% of them.
Wow, what a feeling.
Seriously. I found your website. I found you. That means that every time I do this, I can expect not only my returning kids, but I can expect massive new people. Because people are always looking for it.
Yeah, and you can be building your list and talking to your list just like I talk to the list. And I got to tell you, Lonnie, I think that this is so incredibly valuable for somebody watching it. I think that this is going to be life-changing for a lot of individuals. You're not just changing the lives of Austin youths, but also of online entrepreneurs that can think like, gosh, if this is going to work for basketball in Austin, how can this not work for me doing local marketing for somebody else? Which is one of the things. Yeah, how can this not work for real estate?
If I do this, I'd still be a real estate agent right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I did before I did this.
Yeah.
If I knew this, I'd still be a real estate agent, and I would crush them.
Yeah.
Flat out. I believe that I would crush.
Yeah.
Because I spent half my time trying to find leads, and they're all traditional ways of how to get leads and garbage like that. If I knew what I do right now, I would flat out crush real estate.
I love that.
Seriously.
Well, and because that, you feel like you can crush anything. Like you feel like you're in the driver's seat when it comes to deal making. Both because you've got your meal ticket is already punched for the next year, anyways. Number one,
right.
And number two, you've seen the results. You know you can do it again and again. You know you can put up site after site. You're already doing search engine domination. All that remains is for you to expand upon it and do more.
Right. From this, honestly, if this keeps going the way it's going, I want to get my own facility.
Wow.
And I know in my own facility, not because it's an overhead deal, but being able to house all my kids.
Yeah, or partner with somebody who has their own facility on a side project like this, and I'm
partnered with the guy who has his own facility now.
Wow.
And he's seen my numbers as well so far because we talk all the time, and like I said, he doesn't understand the whole. They don't understand the whole the setup of SEO, and I'm not going to tell them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to chop myself in the foot. But I come into these places with so much leverage. There's 2 new places here that they're building facilities. I'm getting calls from them because they've heard about my program.
I love that. That's awesome. That's great when they're coming to you. Well, Lonnie, thank you so much for your valuable time. I am so grateful for this. When I saw your call come in, I checked my voicemail. I saw it was you. I was so fired up to talk to you, and I'm just so grateful to you, for sharing this experience with everybody who's been here. And just thank you so much. I think this is just incredibly valuable.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it just from the fact that I hear from all of you. I'm actually talking to the person who put this whole thing together. For me, that's amazing. So,
well, it's amazing to me talking to you. All right. Thank you so much, Lonnie. I really appreciate it, and I will see you inside of NHB.
Yes, thank you.
Take care. All right, this is Mike Long here. I am stoked to be here with Stephen Shea. Stephen, this is really cool. Stephen's an NHBer, and you came live on a webinar just about 2 weeks ago, and it created a whole uproar. You freaked everybody out, which is good, kind of in a good way. The reason why I tracked you down was I want to talk to you about two things. One of the big things that people were super excited about on that webinar, you let people know that you had some outsourcing secrets, some things that are really working to your advantage, which I think people really want to know a lot about. Outsourcing is something that can either move you forward or it can bite you in the ass, and so we want to do the move you forward part. And the second thing I want to talk to you about is that you're having more and more success with clients. I always love to talk about client getting, things that you're doing that are being successful for you. So but I think first, you've just been getting all of these private messages, and people are like, oh, what's the deal with outsourcing? So you have some filters that you put on outsourcing, some ways that you're filtering for outsourcers that you feel like are moving you to the head of the line, leaving 95 or 90% of the problems behind you. What are you doing that you think is especially helpful?
A couple of things I'm doing just over the last, I'll say, 2 years, just playing around online a little bit. Actually, basically the last year since I've been outsourcing. Here and there, I just picked up little tidbits on ways to make it quicker and basically to filter out about 90% of the static that you get online when you go onto Odesk or Freelancer or Rent-A-Code or one of these places. Just to start off, the biggest filter I've used, and it literally filters out about 90% of the people that apply for your jobs and saves 90% of your time going through them, is when I put up an ad, I'll tell everybody what I want, the qualifications that I want. I make sure it's a couple paragraphs long, and in the middle paragraph somewhere, I'll put a hidden word in. So within my qualifications, I'll say this person needs to be really good with WordPress. I want this person to have Photoshop skills, and then mid-sentence I'll say, just so you know, your subject line has to be, in quotes, "you're awesome," or any hidden word. So right. You're awesome or hello Joe. Your subject line has to be "you're awesome."
Are
that
they
way,
awake? Yeah.
That way I will read your message. If "you're awesome" is not your subject line, I will not read your quote or your offer.
That's great.
And when I go down through all my offers, depending on the job, but I find usually if you put up an offer or a job, within a day you have anywhere between 80 and 120 responses. I find that with that, when I go down through the subject lines, I have about 10 offers that actually have "you're awesome" in the subject line.
And of course the idea, I'm sure that almost everyone's connected the dots here, but the point is, it's a question as to whether people are actually reading your offer or not, or whether they're just blanket. They basically have a copy and paste that they spam to every single thing that comes up that might even be remotely in their field. Whether you have somebody who's reading your stuff, taking their time to look through things. Are you potentially filtering out some good people? Yeah, of course you're filtering out some good people. But more importantly, you're filtering out people who aren't, at least the people who are looking at you have paid attention, they've raised their hand
That's right.
for a reason.
That's right, yeah. I just found in the past, without using a filter system like this, I literally can spend days messing around with people that they have everybody has all these promises on how they're going to help you and what they're going to do for you, and in the end, weeks down the road, you're still in the same place.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very smart. Now, what are some other things that your experiences with, let's go through an outsourcing scenario. So what's the kind of thing that you might get outsourced?
Outsourcing, I do web design, transcripting. A little while ago, 6 months ago, I started just a small app that I need. That's actually how that's when I learned a lot about outsourcing, when I really picked up the pace. I was working on an app, and I really needed a lot of work done, and so that's where it really hit hyperspeed for me when it comes to outsourcing. And yeah, lately it's been a lot of web development, WordPress, getting custom themes done for some sites, that kind of thing. OMG, NHB things to really, once we get those sites ranked in the top 3, we get them looking real good.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about that. So let's say you have a client, and let's say it's a lawyer, and you get their site ranked. You're in the top 3. And so what are the next steps that you're going to take? First of all, where do you like to go?
Where do I like to go? I tend to use Odesk and Freelancer. I've tried some of the other ones, but 2 of those are my favorite. They're both very different in how they operate. But how
are they different?
I just find the layout of them. Which one is it now? I think it's Freelancer. One thing I don't like about Freelancer is, I think it's Freelancer. When I put up a job, I get an email for every single application.
Yeah.
So my phone will honestly bling all day with these offers coming in, whereas I think it's with the opposite with Odesk, or maybe it's vice versa. They send you one message every 5 or 10 offers, which is nice.
Right.
And they have different grading systems. One of them, I believe, I know one of them for sure uses a milestone system. So if you hire somebody, you say, okay, well, when we get 2 pages of the website done, you'll get 20% of your pay. And when milestones throughout the job. I like that when you're dealing with someone new. I really like that because you don't really know what to expect from them. And, it's a good way to keep them on track and not spend too much money.
Well, it also keeps them motivated as well.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. So what would you do? All right, so we've got a lawyer. The lawyer's paid you. Now, first of all, what would a price structure be for your ordinary deal? So, let's say you approach a lawyer, personal injury attorney, Charlottesville. What are you going to say that you want from him?
Basically, what I've been doing 2 different approaches. I've been finding people that don't have a website, just in local businesses, and it's funny because it's not even the fact I've approached some, but it's not even the fact that I approach them. It's that I just happen to be talking to these people. It could be in a shopping mall, it could be in a grocery store.
Yeah.
You bump into them, you get talking, and you just kind of gradually bring up about their website, and next thing you know, they're talking about Google, and then I tell them I'll get them a website up.
Yeah.
And
so what's that conversation like? Because it's interesting to me because, with OMG, with NHB, it's like a conspiracy. It's our own little conspiracy. We like to dig in and get those little secret details. So let's say you ran into me at the mall. You find out I'm a lawyer, right? So how would the conversation go? Let's say we're at the Starbucks at the mall. We're both standing in line, and maybe you strike up a conversation. Just because you're kind of a friendly guy. So you say, hey, what's going on? I'm like, oh, doing good. A little busy today. Looking forward to my mocha, my caramel, my iced caramel frappuccino. Love that, iced caramel frappuccino. Got to get back to the office. What would you say next? How would it go?
Basically, because I have a background in neurolinguistic programming, I basically I build good rapport with the person first. I ask them something good about their company or about their business.
Okay. So ask me. I'll tell you all about it. Okay.
So I'll say, so Mike, tell me, what's your favorite part about your job? I mean, your job really interests me.
I love litigation. All the paperwork and stuff like that. It's not the reason I got into it. I always, I loved watching the lawyer shows when I was a kid, L.A. Law or Matlock or whatever, and Perry Mason. I love that moment. The trial, whatever it is, I love litigating.
Okay, awesome. So, I mean, in litigation, where do you get most of your customers from? Where do your customers come into your business, and how do they find you?
Well, we do all the traditional stuff. We run ads. I have billboards. Maybe you've seen them out on the side of the street.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive. I'm pretty sure.
They definitely run into some money. But you'd be surprised how much I'm in personal injury. So one client really can wind up being a lot of money. and it's kind of traditional ways of getting out in front of people. I do get some referrals from other lawyers as well. So I have a few different ways of doing it.
So, I mean, if you spend that kind of money, if clients are worth that much money and you're renting billboards, I'm going to automatically assume that you're in the top 3 of Google, are you?
Oh, I hired, I decided to retrench. I'm not, I keep my, I'm a different kind, I'm in my 50s and, I get computers, I have a computer, but really, I keep my schedule with a pen and paper. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is what it is. I don't use these applications. So anyways, I hired a firm. They do pay-per-click. They're doing something, working on my SEO. It's still pretty far back, but they're working on it. And do you know what retargeting is? They're with banner ads, they're doing some retargeting.
Okay, yeah.
So that's currently what I'm doing. It's maybe a little bit of a soft spot for me right now. I'm currently, I've got 3 months with these guys. I'm kind of giving them 3 months, giving them a little bit of rope to work with. But it's one spot where it's a little, I'm not really an expert on.
So these people that you have hired, are you paying them for their service, or are you paying them for results?
Well, they do run ads. We're not yet getting like a lot of results. It's a mixture. I mean, there are some ads that, we do get some clients coming in from it. But right now, I'm just giving them some time, trying to figure out, where it's going to go. We've gone through a few different firms right now, and we're still we haven't found the right fit for us. That's kind of a part of our business that's still, it hasn't, really gelled just yet.
Well, I know you as a lawyer. Lawyers, a lot of lawyers, especially personal injury lawyers, they only take on cases that they feel they're going to win, and basically you get paid for your results, not for your attempts at a result. Is that correct?
Well, I certainly don't get paid unless I get results. That's that much is very true. What do you do for a living? You seem pretty interested in this stuff. Are you one of these techie guys?
Well, actually, yeah, I kind of am. I actually get businesses to the top of Google because I actually experience different business owners that are experiencing similar issues to what you're experiencing, renting billboards, little clippings in magazines, paying a lot of money just to get in magazines. And the thing you don't realize is you're paying all that money, but the places you're advertising are not really targeted. Everyone that drives by your billboard, about 1 in every 100 may be interested in your services.
Right.
What I do is I get your online billboard, a nice website or multiple websites for you, ranked to the top of Google. So then when people are looking up certain search terms like, criminal lawyers or personal injury lawyers in your area, you're getting all the traffic that is targeted looking for you. You don't have to look for them. They're looking for you.
Well, how much does that cost though? Because I'm already paying an arm and a leg to this other people, and it's, we've tried a few different we've tried different people.
Well, I mean, we could sit down and go over, multiple keywords you want to go after. We could go after a large base of customers. It depends on how many customers you want. Do you want a lot of customers?
I mean, of course, I can I can handle a lot more than we're getting right now, and yeah, for sure, of course.
Well, that's a great thing about this, because you're paying for the results. We get you to the top of Google. I mean, when people look up different searches on Google, like criminal lawyers in Delaware or wherever we are, when they look that up, when they see number 1, 2, 3 on Google, people automatically subconsciously assume that is who to call.
But how do you do that? I mean, I'm already doing the pay-per-click advertisement, and I'm showing up somewhere in there.
Well,
doing the retargeting.
That's the thing with pay-per-click. Pay-per-click gets you at top, but there are different statistics. The highest and the lowest statistics I've heard are 15 to 17% of people actually notice the pay-per-view ads or pay-per-click ads. Everybody tends to go for the organic ads, all in the white.
So that's what I do. I mean, the organics are those are the free
white
ones.
Exactly. They're the white ones. They're the natural websites. I mean, me personally, when I do a search, I don't even notice the yellow ads.
No,
I don't. And most
I don't
people,
really notice them either. Now that you
so
mention
how that's where the pain is. How do you expect your customers to notice you there if you don't notice anyone
yeah,
else
but I'm
there?
not there. I'm on like the 7th page or something like that. I'm not in that. I'm not in that category. And I've tried. You know, I've got a pretty good looking website, but
Oh,
it's just not. It's not. That's not where it's displaying.
It's not in the look. It's what goes on behind the scenes. It's what we do for you, for different techniques we have for getting you to the front page ahead of your competition, so you're the new one on the block. You're number one on Google if you want to be number one on Google, and now everybody's
How
coming.
much does it cost to be number one?
How much does it cost to be number one? It all depends on what your needs are. It's when you compare it to billboards and paying somebody to be on a 7th page. When you're paying someone to be on a 7th page, you're just paying for a service. You're not actually getting a result.
Right.
When we get you on number one, page one, you're getting.
Let me ask you this. Right now, I'm paying $2,300 a month. If I paid you $2,300 a month, would I be number one?
If you paid me $2,300 a month, we would have you number one.
Guaranteed.
Well, I would have you in the top 3, and if you really needed to be in number one, we will get you in number one. We meet your needs, and if we don't get paid.
So you work based on the performance?
That's right, just like yourself.
Now, would you have to work on my current website? Because right now I'm locked into a 3-month contract.
No, we actually create websites for you that, if you want to, they can help promote your current website.
But am I allowed to have more than one website?
You are allowed to have as many websites as you desire.
Okay. All right.
So that's a benefit to this. What happens is, if you just want to start, we have clients that start out with 3, 4, 5 websites, and they want them all ranked because they want to own the top fold. That's the first couple ads or the first couple websites.
So you're ranking more than one website?
Yes, that's right. We have.
Is that even possible though? Because I just want it for my one business. I don't have 3 different businesses.
No. Well, here's the effect. Imagine going on Google and you're looking up. So, for a lawyer, let's say a pipe breaks in your house. So you're looking up plumber in Delaware. So we type in plumber in Delaware. Now you have a choice. Most people tend to go with one of the top 3 choices in Google. That's who they'll end up going.
Sure.
So if you own websites 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and these are all different looking websites, but they all point to your services and talk about how good your services are, think about what percentage of those customers
do they allow that?
Yes, they do allow that.
Okay. I didn't know that. We should definitely take a meeting.
For sure.
Okay.
Let's set something up right now just so we get it out of the way.
Okay, great. And then at that point you make a meeting. All right, that was great. And by the way, I reflected back. If y'all were wondering where I got these questions from, that's a conversation I had with a lawyer 2 days ago. So the things I was reflecting back were the exact objections that a lawyer who I closed 2 days ago was having. So that's great. So give us the inside baseball. What were some of the moves going on in your mind that you're making that you think that make your pitch more successful? What are the things that you're doing also that are helping you get a better client, set expectations correctly? What are some of the things that you're doing kind of in your mind behind inside baseball here?
To sum it up real quick, what I basically do is first, like anybody, you want to build rapport. So you want to talk about one of the positive notes.
What does rapport mean? Obviously, I know what it means.
Okay, rapport is building it's almost like a relationship, but it's trust. It's when you open up a little bit more and, you get on a deeper level with somebody.
Yeah.
So you ask them about something good in their life because that is the image most people do want to portray in public. So that excites them. They get to talk about a good part about themselves. And then when they get to talk about that, they have a little bit of a connection with you.
Yeah.
Then you ask them, this is one thing that I do in a lot of different, so I also used to do hypnotherapy in the past. So you talk about the good, and then that they open up a little. And then for marketing reasons, for, client acquisition, we ask them, where's your pain? Like, where's a place in your business that really frustrates you, really gets to you? And it's always money related, which is great.
And usually, usually it's getting more clients. I mean, it's almost always getting more clients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you dig into that pain, and I call it the pain trigger. So if somebody might say, yeah, I'm having a hard time online, and what you do is you don't just leave it at that. You dig into it. You say, okay, so how does that make you feel? I mean, think about your competitors that are in the top 3. You know people are searching. They're getting those people, and that could be you. You don't have to dream about being number 1. You could be number 1.
Right.
And you dig into that, and they really connect with that.
Let me translate some of this back just for viewers, to just give it a different perspective from the way Steven's saying it. So first of all, the idea of rapport. We like to think of this, one way that NLP experts talk about it, someone like Ross Jeffries or Tony Robbins or whatever, we talk about like pacing and leading.
Exactly.
So pacing means to walk with. So, of course, you've been in a conversation, been sitting at a table, we're having a conversation, things are just going along, and then I just get up to walk away. And next thing you know, you find yourself wanting to get up and be like, oh, where's he going? Like we're in rapport.
Exactly.
We have a link between us. We feel like we're like one another. We're talking about how, we both like, playing Xbox, or we both like, the St. Louis Rams, or whatever it is. We have some commonality between us. We both like horseback riding, whatever the thing is. So that's pacing. And what we want to do is we want to be like somebody. There's the old phrase, if your parents say to their kids, if your friends ran off the edge of a cliff, would you? Well, the reason the parents ask that question is, of course you would. Like, of course you'd run off the edge of a cliff because your friends are just like you. So whatever they're doing, you wouldn't. It's a silly question. Of course you'd run off the edge of a cliff. So the idea is pacing and leading, and it's a very powerful contextual trigger for people's actions. Not 100%, but it's a huge predictor of action. That's one thing. And then the second thing, when Steve was talking about pain points, the traditional formula for conversion, any sort of conversion, with your website, in a conversation, anything, is problem, agitate, solve. So what's the problem? Kind of focusing in on that problem and being sensitive to it, being aware of it, amplifying it a little bit, and then presenting a solution. So that's what Steve was saying.
Awesome.
What's the pain point? The pain point is I'm not getting enough customers. What's that like? What does that feel like when you're not getting enough customers? Doesn't it drive you crazy? The bills come in and you just go nuts. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You can be number 1 on Google and be getting a flood of customers. You could be number 1, 2, and 3, and they're coming in, and those people know that they want your business and so forth. So that's a 3-step thing. Now, let me ask you this. So at the point where you get my website ranked number 1, now you're going to go to Odesk and Freelancer, and what are you going to tell that person? We know your trick about saying, okay, use this keyword. I want to make sure that you're awake. I want to make sure you're checked in. What are, like, can you tell us what kind of a job you describe, just to give people who are watching a baseline? What would you say to people to design a theme or so forth? Okay,
so basically, right before you write your ad, there's usually a section where you put in that different qualities that the person you're looking for, what they need to have. So I'll put in WordPress, CSS, Photoshop, whatever it is your needs are.
WordPress, CSS, Photoshop. Got it.
Make sure you put English in there if English is your main language.
Sure.
And then after that, once I get into my description, I will talk a little bit about the job. I won't go into too much detail about it. I'll just give a vague description.
So give us an example. You've got my Charlottesville personal injury attorney ranked number 1.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I need a website done. This should be fast and easy. This is one I always say that. This should be fast and easy. Because this causes people to bid a little lower, and they want to impress you. So, because when they hear fast and easy, they're like, okay, I can do this.
Sure.
The other good thing about saying that is when you say this should be fast and easy, it filters out the less confident people. Right. Because they feel like they might not meet the criteria, and I like to think that they don't bid.
Right.
And then I'll go on and I'll talk about, I'll say, okay, so you need to have all the qualities that I already listed. I'll throw in that, the hidden word.
Yeah, the stop word. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I'll close up with what kind of qualities I'm almost looking for in the person, I won't say personally, but I'm almost using this to connect with them a little bit, and I'm closing up on all the qualities again for the job.
So what are those qualities that you go for?
I want somebody who values creating a great relationship. So we can hopefully end up talking on Skype as you do the job to make your life easier and my life easier. So there's less, less conversation going back and forth over days instead of hours, and you just talk like that. And I just say that I want someone that realizes that a quicker job means more work.
Right.
So that's a huge
thing. So they're not
thing.
trying to draw it out.
Exactly, because sometimes they think that this will be the only job. But if you let them know that you're looking to create a long-term relationship, they're more likely to do it quick and create a good relationship with you.
Got it. I love all those tips. Okay, so what have so then what's the next step? So you filter through some stuff.
Yep.
You find some people that generally that you feel like fit the bill. Certainly, you're going to look through their portfolio.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What things are you looking for in their portfolio?
In their portfolio, I'm looking for a lot of relevant projects, because I find sometimes people will bid and they'll pass all the filters, but then I can't remember which one now. One of them uses a pie chart of where your qualities are. So it'll say that you spend 15% of your time working on web design and 20% in Photoshop, yada yada yada. But what I look for, depending on the job, one thing is the hours served. So how many hours you've done just working for Odesk or working on Odesk. If it passes a certain amount, if you see somebody with in the high hundreds or thousands of hours, that's usually not a person. That's an agency.
Okay.
So that's an agency somewhere overseas that has a lot of people working for them. Some people they avoid these agencies. Sometimes I go for them. That can be an advantage, because these agencies, they have what you call a bench. It's basically a pool of workers that are always working. But sometimes if they don't have enough projects, they're sitting on the bench. So you can negotiate with these companies, because they do not want people sitting on the bench, and they usually do have some sitting. So if you can get into a negotiation with an agency, you may be able to get your job done for 75, maybe 50% or 75%.
And at least you can have that sensibility to know, well, okay, if it's thousands of hours, probably an agency, or at least ask them.
Exactly.
Are you an agency or are you an individual? And then you know what you're dealing with, and you can then make decisions based on that. So then, once you've made your determination of the kind of person that you want, you've hit your sweet spot. Then how would you then describe that job, that Charlottesville personal injury attorney? What would you then say to the final? Of course, we already know that you're going to go back and forth by Skype to fine tune things and get things straight. But are you going to show them examples of what you want, or like how is it? Do you look through their portfolio and describe based on their portfolio? What would you then? How would you then term the job for them?
At this point, if I'm using WordPress, I may show them the website for the theme that I intend to use, if I intend to use a theme.
So would you use something like Catalyst or something like that and say, hey, I want you to take Catalyst Tuscan and do it up on that and make that look much better? Is that, do you usually start them within guidelines so it kind of streamlines things?
Yeah, exactly. I'll show them Catalyst. I find I've just started with Catalyst recently, and I absolutely love it. It's very versatile.
Yeah.
So I'm actually working with a guy now, and we're really going heavy with Catalyst. And yeah, so I'll show them usually the theme itself on the company's website, the actual Catalyst website. I'll show them and let them go over it and see an introductory video. Tell him what he thinks, and they're usually okay with that kind of thing. And then I'll say, how comfortable are you with working with this? And usually they're good. And then we take it from there, and I may show them, if I want a custom theme done, I will show them the type of look I'm looking for, maybe compared to one of their websites in their portfolio or a website I have. Or if I'm looking at using a specific skin, then I will show them the type of skin I'm looking at. And I find skins are really good. I'm getting pretty good at doing the skins myself now.
Yeah.
But I find the skins are really good, because if you're new, you already know the look you're getting, and if you're using an outsourcer, they can have the website done quickly.
Yeah, for someone watching right now, one of the reasons why I'm drilling down so deep in this is something that Stephen has a lot of experience in. Now when he goes back to find somebody to design an app for him, a plugin for him, he's going to use these same ideas, these same guidelines. The nomenclature is going to be different. The result's going to be different. But the meta ideas, the ideas underneath those ideas. For example, if you're recruiting for a college football team, and you find out that you can recruit an all-star power forward from a school that just didn't even have football, but he's just a super duper great basketball player, and you're like, hey, I can turn this guy into a great tight end. He's a really great athlete. He can jump like crazy. He's got great hands. He can handle the ball really well. So he's got that deeper kind of talent. Or when it comes to programming, if you've got a great programmer, he can usually move from one language to another. So these same things, if they're a communicator, they're a communicator. That's great. If they're good with graphic design, they'll be able to do graphic design in for a relationship advice site or for a lawyer site, what have you. Or if they're like a children's animator, then maybe they're not. Maybe that's not a good correlation. But these are some of the things that we're looking for. So tell me what kinds of things. I know that recently you've been kind of picking up steam. What are some of the results that you've been getting recently with your NHP experience just in the last month or so?
In the last month or so, so I actually joined back in, I was in the first group in NHP.
Awesome.
But some personal stuff came up in life and I fell off the map until a little while ago. And about a month ago, I started to focus back on internet marketing. And since I really started to take it seriously and just move forward with it, it has just really taken off. In the last, on the last webinar, I told a couple of websites. Since then, I've closed, now today I've closed 6 deals altogether. So it was 2 before, and now I've closed 4 since.
So you've closed four deals in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, 4 deals since our last webinar.
So what are those 4 deals that you've closed?
It's funny because they're all starting, except for one, they're all starting similar ways. I'm just finding people that don't have websites. I'm offering to build them websites, and now quite a few of them, most of them, once I lock in the deal to build a website, they realize in the beginning, because they don't have a website, they don't understand
the value. They're not thinking about traffic, yeah.
Exactly. They're not thinking about it. But then once you say, okay, when I get your site ranked, would you like SEO done? Would you like me to get you to the top of Google? And it clicks in, and then I explain the value of their competitors.
And you've also shown them a great-looking website, so that's
exactly.
Exciting. And they feel like you're competent. You get the job done lickety-split. It takes you no time. You have these themes and this ability to bang things out. So what are the deals now? How much are you charging to put together a website?
The first deal I did, I believe that was $550 or $650, and that one went without SEO. The next one I think was $11 or $1150, and now all the rest are $1,200, except for the last one that was $1,000 because that was someone that I went to school with and gave him a deal because he's just starting out.
$1,200, and $1,000.
Yep.
So that's obviously adds up to altogether right around $7,000, which is awesome. Congratulations, or $6,000. That's right around $6,000. So congratulations on that. And then how much are you getting for your SEO services?
SEO services are different for each one because the markets are all, or some of the markets. Yeah, that's right. Some of the markets are different, but basically the lowest one I have is $350 right now. That's a month, and the highest one I have is $650. So
per month.
Yep.
So wow. So what's your monthly take on all 5 of those that you're doing SEO?
Well, no. Right now I'm doing SEO on 3. Technically, the SEO hasn't started because I just closed those deals within the last couple of days, and I'm actually in the middle of moving across the country, so they understand that it's going to take me a few days.
Sure.
But what it was, one of those is $350, and 2 are $650.
Oh my goodness. So that's a full-time income. You between the upfront money that you're getting, and then that's another $2,000 a month, you're really, really picking up steam here. It's awesome.
Once it starts, everyone says this, but you don't understand it till you do it. Just take action. Mike, I've heard you say that last year when I first joined Bring the Fresh. You said, just take action, take action, take action. And the thing is, you can sit down and you can play with the calculator all day on how much you could make. But once you start taking action, the money will start to come in. It will. That's what happened to me. I buckled down about a month ago, and since then, it's just, I'm not even looking for the opportunity. I'm just being open to it, and it's actively in my mind because I'm currently doing it.
Yeah.
And as that happens, it just comes in.
So you've just been focusing in on your NHB experience really just for a month. You've made thousands of dollars up front. You have thousands of dollars per month on the way. What would you say to somebody who's kind of a bit on the fence about NHB?
Get off the fence. Get off the fence and just jump in NHB. I actually had somebody message me this morning. I don't even know who it was. They messaged me on Facebook asking me for information about NHB. And I just messaged them back and I said, just join. I said, don't look at it as a cost. The worst thing you can do is look at the fee or the entry fee as a cost. It's an investment. I spent that money, and like I said, I made that money back very quickly, and now I'm not just into a profit, I'm into a monthly income.
That's awesome.
So it's a no-brainer. You have to want it. You have to take the action, join, take the action, and I find the best part about this group is the Facebook group. It's all the information is amazing, and it is life-changing if you take action on it. But when you get in that Facebook group, it's just, if I have an issue, first of all, I can, in NHB, I can hop on Facebook or Skype, and you or Greg are usually there, and I can talk to you. But before I would even do that, I just run a question on the Facebook group, and sometimes within seconds, you have the solution to the issue you were experiencing.
That's awesome. All right, well, yep. Stephen, I know you're going through a move, so I really appreciate your valuable time. You sat down with me for quite a while here. Really, really appreciate it. Best of luck on your move, and I will see you inside of NHB.
All right, thanks, Mike. Talk soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Okay, this is Mike Long, and I'm here with Gary. It's Kuish, is that right?
Yep, Kuish, yep.
All right, Gary Kuish, and this is exciting. Now, Gary's coming from all the way in, coming from all the way. Are you actually in Sydney?
Melbourne, Australia, right down the sort of Tasmanian end or the big ocean end of Australia.
The big ocean end of Australia. Well, you got that great, that great. I love that Australian accent. I think a lot of Americans do. It's just one of those things. But anyways, I'm really excited to have you here. The one thing I have going on, I'm just going to try to get. I think I'm getting some sort of a persistent weird beep from GoToWebinar still. So I'm going to try to see if I can force quit out of GoToWebinar, and maybe it'll stop doing that weird sound, which would be great.
No
problem. So this is exciting for me, and it seems like so far we're getting good video from you. So we'll leave the video on until we start losing it. You've had quite some triumphs recently. You're an NHBer, and you're really accomplished. And there's a couple things that I really like that you've done. You're, by the way, wonderfully. I think that people just absolutely love having you in the Facebook group. Very inspiring. You're having a lot of success, and also you're very insightful. I actually picked up a great tip from you. You were scolding me. I know that you're not a fan of Thesis, but you kind of were scolding me because you didn't think that I was doing enough with Catalyst, which it really is a great theme. I took your lead there, and I took your advice, and I've really been using a Catalyst quite a bit. Actually, if you go to, let's see, if you search for Colorado Springs veterinarians, then that site that's number one, coloradospringsveterinarians.net, is actually on Catalyst. It's on one of the. This is actually one of the bundles that you suggested. This is the Tuscan theme.
Tuscan's good.
Yeah, it's a real good one, and I really like it. I like the way this looks. We have some other sites that we're messing around with, and it's one of my favorite child theme, and skin packages is Catalyst Dynamic Tuscan, and we absolutely have you to credit for that. So I'm really curious in this interview. I wanted to find out your take on client getting, and then also your take on look and feel of websites, because those are two places I think that you're so insightful. Now, you just closed a huge deal a few days ago. Can you tell us about that?
Without sounding sort of being funny, are you talking the landscape deal?
That's the one.
Yeah. Well, look, basically we're doing normal research. So, everyone that I get the chance to talk to within the NHB group, I really emphasize the fact of making sure that they do the research, because there's just I mean, the amount of opportunity that sits there if you're prepared to just take that little bit of time, Mike, is just huge.
I totally agree.
I mean, it's not is there opportunity. The only thing is how much of that opportunity can we deal with?
Yeah.
That's really bottom line. And part of that is something that I've been doing, but something that Greg made a point of right at the very early part, and that is, look for people that are wanting to be on the front page. I mean, there's a difference, Mike, between trying to talk to people to convince them to try and get them to see the value of being on the front page versus people that already understand that value and are already paying for that in the means of using Google AdWords.
It's a question of market sophistication. This is one of the early lessons. If you really get good at marketing, you learn that the cost of educating somebody is so astronomical. It's so high to teach somebody. I signed up a client today. It was the easiest thing in the world for. It was funny. I was meeting with Joe, who's another NHBer, and I noticed that I had a website that's #1 for Charlottesville is the town that me and David Mills live in. So Charlottesville Personal Injury Attorney. I didn't even realize I was #1 for that. So, but I did exactly what you're saying. Is I hunted somebody down who was already spending money on AdWords, and where it's just they're wasting their money, of course. I mean, just to a huge extent. And he could just have an asset. And so, anyways, long story short, easy peasy. And
it is.
And I could have talked to another 20 lawyers and gone nowhere.
Exactly. Look, the lead cost acquisition, when you're trying to get a lead and you're spending that much time convincing people that they should be doing it versus saying, I've got 7 people or 8 people on this page that are paying already. That means they're already prepared to invest in being on the front page. I don't have to convince them to be there.
Yeah.
And then being able to say, okay, well, let's take each of these people and let's see where they rank now for this term. Well, hold on a sec. There's, 8, 10 people, however amount of doing the Google AdWords at that time for that particular keyword phrase. And out of those, 5 of those people are sub-page 4.
Yeah.
They're 4 pages back.
Yeah.
They're already investing money. And that landscape one was a great opportunity because the guy's actually 7 pages back. He's 7 pages of results back.
Yeah.
But it ended up, I found out, we're obviously talking to him, that he's paying $1,300 a month. He's been investing in AdWords. And like I said to him, hey, that's fantastic. You've been $1,300 a month. What's your ROI? How many sales are you getting from that? What's your net return on that? I said, because what you have to think about is the moment you stop investing, that's gone.
Yeah.
That's tap turns off. Bang.
Yep.
Not another thing.
Yep.
Whereas if you do invest that same amount in getting sites to rank, even if you then stop doing anything with them, they're not going to turn off overnight. Yes, over time, they're going to drop back. We all know that if you don't keep your SEO up, it's going to drop back. But unlike Google AdWords, which turns off snap, done, finished, your sites in the organic rankings keep bringing you business.
Yep. You're turning, you're flipping the script. You're turning, instead of you being the one who's being investigated, you're turning the investigation back on them. You're getting them to look at themselves. You're asking, that's very, very smart framing, and it's valuable for them.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, it's not hard for them to see that value. Then my whole thing is everyone has, and you've probably heard that term over the years, Mike. FUDs. Fears, uncertainties, and doubts.
Sure.
So for me, what I do is when I'm going to see a client, rather than just working out how I'm going to show him how enormous the technology is that I'm using to try and get them on the front page. Look, most of the clients, I would say probably 99% of the clients that I deal with, they don't give a damn what technology I use.
Right.
They don't care what linking systems I use.
Yeah, they don't care if you use smoke signals. You could use smoke signals. They'd be happy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the bottom line is they just want to be on page 1, and they want to make sure that by being on page 1, they get enough leads that they're able to get a solid return on whatever investment they're making with me. That's it.
Yeah.
So, I'm basically going in, but before I go in, I look through the eyes of the client. And this is the thing that I try to get, all of my students when I'm teaching, the reality is think about what your customer is thinking. Look, and I don't mean this is disrespectful to you or Greg or me or any of us, that it doesn't matter what we think.
Right.
It's irrelevant. We can think our website look brilliant. And to be truthful, they might, but the answer is it actually doesn't matter what we think. Not for one skerrick of a second. It matters what our potential clients think. So I try to go back and put myself in the place of the client and look through the client's eyes. If someone was coming to me offering me this and I was in that industry, what would I be concerned about? What would I worry about? What questions would I have to ask in order to feel totally comfortable to say yes to this person?
So what questions did you think that in the landscaping? So first of all, can you walk us through how you identified this landscaper and then how you prepared and then what questions, you thought he would have and what questions did he have?
Yeah. The first thing was identifying the fact that he had a need and he was prepared to invest, because that's a lot shorter close to get that deal done than it is to go through the whole process of walking people to the point where they realise the value. So the first thing was shooting him an email via his site saying, hey, look, the really nice looking site, but even without going any further, I can tell you you're getting very little business from this site because your traffic numbers have got to be low given for these search terms.
Yeah.
You are not ranking anywhere beyond the 7th page.
Right.
So I'd like to show you how we can flip that around and start getting you business from the first page. If you don't feel what I'm talking to you about is value after the first 10 minutes we've been together, then I'll leave and I make a commitment to you. I will not bother you again.
Okay.
If after 10 minutes you believe what we're talking about is genuine value to you and your business, we'll continue the conversation.
I like that.
So that basically gives the customer an out.
Yeah.
So they don't feel locked, like, my God, if I meet this guy, he's probably going to talk to me for 2 hours and I'm going to be... It gives them the fact that in 10 minutes, they're in control. That whole handing the baton and giving them the feeling that they're in control of what's going to happen in this conversation.
Love it. Very valuable. Very valuable.
Yep.
So how do you prepare for that 10 minutes?
Okay.
What questions
Yep.
are you thinking that he's going to, in this case of the landscaper, what questions do you think he's going to have and how do you figure that out?
Okay, well, in the email conversation, he actually sent an email back to me and said, look, the reality is that this is my 3rd time I've had the website built. The company that he actually went with last time is an extremely well-known, it's a big name SEO company and website designers here in Australia. And in fact, I've come across them in probably 4 or 5 large accounts in the last 6 months.
Wow.
And basically speaking, that their fees are very, very high.
Right.
But they weren't able to get him any real tangible search engine results, hence the fact they talked him into this $1,300 a month.
Right.
So my gut feeling in looking through his eyes were, well, this guy's just going to be another person who comes and talks to me about SEO, won't be able to show me any tangible results, is going to try and con me into spending more money with them,
right,
but won't be able to deliver.
Right.
And I'm just going to be in the same position I've been for the last 3 companies I've worked with. So basically what I did is, one of his key points in his email, when people talk to you, Mike, or people write to you, you've got to be an active listener.
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems that I see in people trying to go out and talk to people is they go out knowing what they already want to tell the person.
Right.
And they can't wait to tell them that next point that they want to actually talk to them about. And in that point wanting to be made, they're so busy waiting for that gap in the conversation that they don't listen to what they're being told.
Yeah. They're listening for silence, not listening to the actual content.
Exactly. You need to be an active listener. Your customer, your prospect will tell you what they need if you are prepared to ask a question and then listen to the answer. And basically, he was saying to me that he was very keen in picking up business from an area here outside. It's about 45 odd Ks out of Melbourne CBD. It's a big, let's call it almost like a country city called Geelong.
Okay.
And he picked up quite a bit of landscaping business from there in the last 6 months, and he was keen to get a result there. So when I went to talk to him, I said, okay, you can go and try and rank for landscape architect. Let's go in now and have a look at all the people and the amount of links and the amount of power that some of these people have already got. We can rank you in front of them, but here's the reality and what it's going to take in terms of time and investment. If you want someone to see the value in what you do, you have to provide a contrast frame.
Right.
A comparative frame for what they're going to be looking at. So if I show them what we're going to do now, and I tell them it's, let's just pick a figure, $2,500. If they have nothing to compare that against, it's going to be expensive.
Right, sure.
But if I set them up first by saying, okay, if we go for landscape architect, we're probably going to spend 10 to 12 grand here.
Right.
To get you on the front page. And it's going to take 6 months to do that.
Right.
Now, but if we now come back and we look at, okay, you've had success in Geelong. Let me show you some of the things that I've done in Geelong already.
Right.
Let's show you the success. Let me show you the time frames. Now we're talking about doing that particular site for $2,500. We're talking about getting him on the front page within 3 months.
Right.
Now he's comparing 10,000 and 2.5.
Right.
And he's comparing 6 months with a maximum of 3 months. This now sounds a really good deal.
Right.
And in fact, that's exactly what he said. You know, he's saying to me, well, that's awesome. You know, how can we go about doing that? And then we talk about, you know, looking at those, again, this is stuff that Greg has said. Put him onto Google Keyword Tool. Not all the sophisticated tools. Put him onto Google Keyword Tool. He'd never seen it.
Right. Right.
You know, that you talked about it too, Mike. The reality, what's the difference in search volume between Google, like landscape architect or landscape architects?
Yeah, it's huge.
He's thinking, well, this is what's going to get me the most traffic. And in fact, then we show him that by the addition or subtraction of an S, we can double
the
exact match searches per month. I mean, that literally just blew him away.
I love that.
Okay? And then tying it back to say, well, look, you need them to understand that you're not just doing web, that you actually understand about business.
I like
and
that.
I'm saying, what's an average transaction worth to you?
What
So
did,
if you
what did
get
he
a
say?
job,
What did he
what's
say?
it worth?
What did he say, Job?
He's saying that an average job to him sits between $12,000 to $18,000.
Wow.
Right? So that sort of job, it was just like, as soon as he said that, my question, the rhetorical question straight away is, how many jobs would you need to make what I'm talking to you give you a payback? In the next 12 months, how many jobs would you need? Well, the answer is obviously 1.
Yeah.
Right, I said, so how much of a risk is this to you? If we do this on one site, what if we got you one lead, and you were able to close that in this next 12 months? I said, how many leads does it take you on average to get a closed deal? In other words, what's your conversion ratio?
Right. What did he
So
say?
not what is your lead acquisition ratio, what's your actual conversion ratio? So he said on average, for every 3 people that he talks to, he gets 1 deal.
Oh, wow.
So the value statement, the value build that you get around talking to them about this just becomes so simple.
Yeah. And you're really establishing comparatives that he can understand. You're listening to him. The conversation's active. It's creative. It's curious. You're talking about business. He's in business. He likes business. You know, his wife probably doesn't want to hear about business. You know, like
No, she wants the money.
yeah, exactly. So you're speaking both of their language. So that just seems terrifically. So did that all like wound up and it just really sold him?
Yeah, well, it did. Well, let me tell you, in his email to me before we had the meeting, he laid out, Mike, a whole series of things like, I want to look at 6 sites that you've done that are ranking on the front page. I want to talk to at least 4 of your clients.
Nice.
That you've had success. He laid out all of these criteria.
Yeah.
So when I went there and I started talking to him, the total meeting ran for around 1 hour and 50 minutes. And we're about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I said, look, I want to give you a series of sites. So we're going to start to go, Daycare Point Cook, and we went through all these different sites. I started to go, he just stopped me. And he said, I know I asked you for all that stuff, but with what you've shown me here today and the way you're talking to me, you're the only person who's actually spoken to me in a way that I understand.
Yeah.
He said, you've shown me things that I can go and check that nobody ever took the time to explain. He said, I thought before you came here I would be, and this is one of the key points, I would be overwhelmed with technology like I've been in every other meeting.
Wow. That's a value
He
point
said,
right there. Distinct value point. Yeah. Distinct value
He said,
point.
what you've told me is in a way that I can clearly understand, that wasn't technology based. It was about me and my business.
And what's fascinating about that is it's not that you are shying away from showing him real tech stuff. You're showing him the Google keyword tool. You're showing him what his competition looks like.
Yep.
These things are technical. They're just not super nerd. You're not just going, you're not trying to bamboozle him. You're not trying to intimidate him. You're having he's a human being. You're a human being. And you're having a real conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that.
I mean, Mike, as technical as we got I've got an Ahrefs account and an SEO Mods account, but when I go out to a client, I actually only use the free version of Ahrefs.
Right.
So what we did is I said, okay, who's your biggest competitors? Because obviously everyone, shouldn't say everyone, that's a global statement. Pretty much everyone has at least a business or a couple of businesses that they would love to beat, that they compete with on a regular basis, that in some cases, like in this particular case, a business that had taken business, he'd lost contracts to them.
Yep.
So he's emotionally invested in wanting to beat them. It's another driver. It's another trigger for the job.
Yeah.
So I said to him, okay, well, let's go and have a look at this guy's site. I mean, he's taking business off you. Let's go and have a look at where he is. And it's interesting when you do this, Mike, because when I was investigating that, here's another guy that's spending a lot of money on AdWords, but in fact his site is like something out of the 1980s.
Wow.
And he's not ranking.
Mm.
So, my thought pattern there when we're doing it is, well, if this one doesn't work out, boy, I know who my next call's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, his competition.
Yeah. So the reality is I said, well, look, let's have a look at what you have to do to beat him. It didn't matter that he wasn't on the first page. I said, let's look at what you got to do to beat him.
Sure.
So we actually did that. We went and had looked at, of course, he had 3 links and they were internal, nothing else.
Yeah.
But then I took him back to the front page and I said, look, your perception of who your competition is not necessarily who your competition is online.
Right.
So let's go back and have a look now at the top results. And then we broke down the top 3 results by quickly putting them into Ahrefs. And the top guy had 1 link, the second guy had 17 links, and the third guy had 4 links.
So we're on right now. I've got pulled up Google, and
Yep.
I'm going to change. I'm number 1 for personal injury attorney Charlottesville. I'm going to change it to personal injury lawyer Charlottesville.
Yep.
And let's just see who's number 1. So number 1 is this AllenandAllen.com. So I'm pulling up Ahrefs, and I'm going to go to AllenandAllen.com. Now that's going to be a really big. That's going to be quite a big business.
Yep.
So let me see if they have a slash that they're working on, because it's AllenandAllen.com and then locations. I don't know if this is going to be that good. Yeah, let me just do this next one down. TGB law / practice areas / personal injury. I'm just going to do that instead. So first I'll do Allen and Allen, and this is going to be a big site. It's got URL rank is 435, href domain rank is 14, backlinks 4,500, referring domains. Like this is going to look really big and bad, but then of course we can point out that this isn't really individualized to
Correct.
Charlottesville. So what would you say in
Correct.
that kind of a case where their biggest competition is like a more of a national or global business?
Well, I think actually I just see it as a massive opportunity. I mean, again, you've got to have the right mindset when you go into these things. If you go in with a mindset that it's gloom and doom and it's going to be hard, you're already shooting yourself in the foot.
Yep.
So the way that I look at it, Mike, is I say, look, this is a big company. And in fact, one of the companies that actually, and it's interesting you said it, one of the companies that we looked at is an Australia-wide company.
Yep.
But the reality is when you do a link check on the / and the actual location, it's really beatable.
Yeah.
I mean, massively beatable.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I just say, look, here's exactly, because now I tie it back to what I was talking about when I first started talking to him. If you want to go for the big term, then it's going to take time. If you want to hit this company right at their main point, it's going to take a lot of effort. But if we focus now on getting an exact match domain on that keyword with this location, mate, we're going to beat them. We're going to beat them out for Geelong. We might not beat them for Melbourne, let's say, or we might not beat them for Victoria, which is the state. But we're going to beat them for Geelong. Now look at the next area that you want. So he was saying Williamstown, which is another suburb much closer to Melbourne. So we looked at that. The domain was available. The people that were competing against that were a little more sophisticated. But again, nothing that within a short amount of time you couldn't, with an exact match domain, you weren't going to be able to rank for.
Yeah. But the one thing is, we all know that exact match domains don't work anymore.
Well, yeah.
Just joking. Just joking,
yeah,
folks.
Exactly. Well, the bottom line of that is that I think it's one of the most powerful assets that we can use.
Yeah.
It's been that way with all the Google news about the changes to EMDs. Look, has it affected EMDs? Yes, and you're crazy if you don't acknowledge that it has, because
Sure.
it has.
Sure.
But I'll tell you right now, you do ranking the right way, not the scammy way, the quick, 15,000 links for $5, crap, do it the way we've been shown to do it. Your site is going to stay there. All of the EMDs that I have, and I can say this, with absolute integrity, I have not had a single drop in place, even for the most rudimentary sites like our learnbjjonline.com. We did that one, Mike, as for I was running internet seminars teaching people how to do online businesses. And we actually ran that as just to show people how you could rank with a single page of content.
What's the name of it?
It's www.learn
Yep.
BJJ online.
Okay, got it.
BJJ stands for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's Learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu online.
Yep.
And we're number one.
Yep.
Now, the reality is that hasn't even been, shows you how old this one is, it hadn't even been updated to Catalyst. It's still on an old Woo themes, and it's number one. The interesting thing about it is Submissions 101, I'm not sure whether this is still exactly the case, but if you're looking at it, you can probably tell me. Submissions 101 was number 2 underneath us. And the Gracie family, who's sort of like the people who founded Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
they founded it.
Were number 3.
What should I search for? Learn BJJ?
Yeah, Learn BJJ online.
Okay.
And it should be the number 1 result.
Yeah, it is. It's the number 1 result. Number 2 is learnbjjtechniques.com.